Hey, we're live, and it's a lively bunch tonight. So, hi, I'm Jared, and this is LWG Live Chat. And tonight, I am joined by Josh Booze, Nate Snellbacker, Ross Famous,
hello,
and John Sullenberger. And tonight, we are going to be talking about our first impressions with the new 2019 Handbook. It's not even fresh off the presses yet. It's still being shipped. We haven't gotten it yet, but thank you to the glory of the internet. We seem to know everything about the book, even though we do not have it in our possession. So we're going to be going over our first impressions and breaking down some of the strategies and tactics, changes to our armies, and also some of the changes that we see coming for the meta, and maybe some things out there. By no means are we total experts in the field. It's just stuff that we see and things that might be affecting our games. So we want to share that with everybody else.
Total system knowledge.
So I guess we'll just dive in. So why don't we, before we get to points, because I know that's what everybody really wants to talk about, is point changes and how that affects the armies. Why don't we start with some of the
rules
changes first? Or we can talk about, they have the open play and they have the narrative play stuff that's coming out. I'm actually kind of excited about some of this stuff. The different alternate play modes.
The meeting engagement.
Which I think
cool.
Yeah, I agree. Meeting engagement seems really cool, but it definitely strikes me as more of a match play setting than in the other ones, for that one in particular. But there is some cool stuff out there especially for campaigns that I'm really interested in doing. They have the I think it's in the it's either the narrative or the open war. I don't even know why they separate them out, to be honest. I'm pretty sure open gaming and narrative are literally the same thing. So I mean, yeah, that's effectively they're the same thing. At least to our play group, I think probably to most people, it's either you play with points and match play rules or you don't.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe open play is more for like Carter, who just makes up his own rules.
Well, it might work for him. I can say that they have a new. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but in the book they have a army generator for open gaming, where they basically break down and classify all the unit choices to different things, and you roll randomly to build your army. It's one way to do it. Which I think would actually be pretty stinking cool for a campaign setup, or just like throwing down at the club just for fun. If you don't know what to do, you're new in the game. Let's say you're just starting out and you don't have like a 2,000 point army, but you still want to play, and you're not even super familiar with how to construct your army. Boom, there you go. You can just show up anywhere, anytime, and just roll out this army generator, and it even has like mission generators and stuff like that, which I think even in club pickup games during match play, I would use the mission generator. I think that's I love those options. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing more of that as well. So
yeah, I used to be a pretty big fan of the open war deck from 40K that made for some fun games. Although some people felt it wasn't balanced because you have to have everything be balanced. Well, yeah.
I mean, sure, it's not. Like I remember the one time me and Ross, they have one of those exact. It's like a deck of cards, open war cards for AOS as well. I think you can still buy them. I'm plugging it. See, there we go. And me and Ross ended up playing a game the one time where I was surrounded, or he was surrounded by an ambush of my guys, and he needed to get his messenger off the side of the board. And we rolled up a random terrain feature it was like a swamp. So his movement was reduced by like 6 inches or 3 inches or something crazy, which was actually, it was a pretty cool mission where he has like slogged through this swamp to escape the edge of the board. And there's a lot of fun stuff in there, I think. Stuff to be explored, especially for, narrative and campaign games, which I know we all love. There's a wealth of information and stuff there. So I'm personally excited about that. So I don't know if you guys would even use that stuff or not, but.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It's definitely a shot.
Sure. Okay. And then the meeting engagements is the other gameplay mode before we get into like standard play. I am super excited about meeting engagement. And for those of you that don't know, it is basically all the games are 1,000 points and they're played on a I believe it's like a 30 by 40 inch board or something like that. It's some kind of weird measurement on it. But it's like so it's a skirmish style one. And you have 1,000 points, and you have to. They have their own missions for this game mode that actually are pretty interesting looking. But the main crux of how it works is if you don't just set your 1,000 point up list and go to town, you have to divide your army into different sections. I think it's 3 different sections. There's like the vanguard section, the core section, and then like the rear guard or something like that. And you can only pick certain models to go into these different detachments, and then depending on the mission, they arrive to the table from different board edges and at different times. So you don't know exactly the way your army is going to come into the game per se, unless you like know ahead of time what mission you're playing.
Right. Yeah.
And it seems really cool. And they also have restrictions on the types of units that you can take. Like only battle line units can double their max size of the squad, and all the other squads have to stay minimum size, which I think is very interesting. So
and I think you can't take more than 2 of each war scroll. So it really it really cuts back on spamming. Like you pick it once, and I think you can pick it again, but then that's it.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a very popular, very fun, fast, and honestly, I think skill-based competitive way to play Age of Sigmar going forward, especially in the 1,000 points. The games are going to go really fast, and I think they knocked it out of the park with those. I am very much looking forward to meeting engagement stuff, and I think that's interesting because usually I don't like playing less than 2,000 points. It just seems boring. There's like nothing on the field. But the way they designed it, I think they're going to add some flavor to it and make it something appealing. So, would you guys play that?
I'd give it a shot.
Of course. I will not play it against anyone that brings a Ghoul King on Terrorgeist in 1,000 points though.
Oh, come on, guys.
Sorry, Nathan.
I mean, you can. You can actually bring Nagash. So, yeah.
Yeah, someone talked about using Marathi.
Nagash and 2 sets of wolves.
But you could do it, yep. Because they didn't increase the wolves' points enough. So yeah.
Barely,
but
10 points in.
I think it'd be cool to do that for like a Saturday, like have a special thing where like we say, hey, whoever wants to do this meeting engagement Saturday, everybody bring armies, 1K armies, and we just do a bunch of like round robin games, and it'll be fun. Yeah.
Or for a tournament setting, you could easily do a 5-6 round tournament in one day of that size. Yeah. So, and that's appealing. I think that's really fun. You get to see so many more people interact with different armies, play all these different games, and I think, I'm really wanting to run a meeting engagement event after reading that stuff. So, okay. Well, since you guys are all quiet about this stuff, maybe we're gonna have to jump into
I didn't get to see anything about meeting engagement.
You didn't read anything about it? Okay.
Nah.
Well, I mean, I basically give you the gist of it. So
yeah, and I think
first impressions. Great. Okay, all right. Well, then I guess we'll jump into what we've been talking about on our chat since the weekend. So since Saturday,
Constantly.
We've got like 1,000 messages a second. So is the match play
That
changes?
walks in at the right time.
The match play changes to General's Handbook 2019 are pretty big. There's a lot of changes here. So I think the best place to start is in the beginning. The way that you're actually going to set up the games is changing drastically. Well, I say drastically.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are going to follow that, though.
Yeah, I think we're just going to drop that quick.
I mean,
I don't know about that.
Well, hold on. Let me explain it
because you don't have any terrain.
before we jump into it here. So the big controversial change that is making the rounds, and as you hear, is a lot of energy behind it, is the biggest change was the way that you set up the board and the game, specifically regarding terrain. So what they changed is before you used to just drop out some terrain, it didn't really matter, roll the mysterious terrain dice, and you're good to go. Now there's a set way to design the board. So each player has, I think, 5 terrain pieces, and 2 of them are like large ones, and 3 of them are small ones, like wall pieces, and all of them are Games Workshop official terrain pieces. Okay, and it says you have to use them, and they all come with their rules, and you can only use one of each type. So Sylvaneth Wildwood, and Azurite Ruins. The Garden of Moor, or whatever the heck it is, the graveyard.
Jesus.
So you could take those now in addition to your army, and you put them down on the board, and they have to be, first of all, you put down the objectives for your mission. You roll mission, you put down the objectives. Then all terrain from the roll off between you and your opponent, you alternate putting it down. It has to be 3 or more inches away from objectives and 6 inches away from board edges, and 6 inches away from other terrain pieces. So it's going to be a pretty open, scattered board. There's not going to be anything. The bottom line is it's going to look silly. It's going to look like when you crack open the books and you see the Games Workshop guys with their cheesy, haha, we're playing Warhammer pictures with like the barren board with no terrain on it. That's what it's going to look like. So, and then after you end up setting up terrain, which is in all honesty, that plus the objectives are going to take up the majority of the board, especially considering some of the new missions, which we'll get into in a second. Then you can take your faction-specific terrain and put that down. But again, it has to be 6 inches away from the board edges, 3 inches away from objective, and 6 inches away from other terrain features, and still has to follow the faction-specific terrain rules. So like the Gloomspite.
Let's just stop there. Right.
Yeah.
The null don't even work straight away.
Null holes are broken.
There's issues. Yeah.
You can't even place them.
So because null holes have to be wholly within 6 of the board edge, well, now if you're Skaven, you don't get them anymore. Now I'm pretty confident there's going to be an FAQ that changes that. My feeling is they're just not going to make this deployment required. They're just going to revert back to the way it was. Because the way it's written, it's a must. I think they're just going to change it to not. You don't have to. It's if you want to. And then...
I just don't understand what they were smoking when they came out with that.
You know what I think they're doing is I think they're trying to standardize competitive play as much as possible. And it does make sense. It does make sense because there's been so many instances where I have seen people in tournaments game terrain. Well, Josh is here, and he's the king of gaming terrain with floating evocators. So,
oh God, the salt still remains.
No, but my point is, this is a move for them to, I think, number one, standardize it. I don't think this is malicious from the beginning. I think they're trying to standardize the way the game is played so it's equal footing as much as possible. But then, if you'll notice, it's all Games Workshop terrain. So I think it's another way to try to improve sales of their terrain by forcing you to use it. So that's a little malicious.
But I mean, like, because what tournament do you go to and the terrain's not already on the table? Like,
now, see,
that ready to go.
This is the interesting part. In the actual handbook, later they talk about how to run a tournament. And they say when you're running a tournament, you suspend the normal rules for terrain placement, and the TO places the terrain. And I would assume they're going to follow these rules, but the TO is going to place them. So they don't even use it in tournaments. So technically speaking, by the way they've written the book, and I agree with you.
The right test.
So it is a bit frustrating because like the Loon Shrine. Technically, the way it is, there's only going to be a 6-inch strip on your side of the board in like a standard deployment where you can even put it. And it's longer. I think if you turned it sideways, it would. I have it right here. If you turned it sideways, it wouldn't even fit in there. So it literally has to be lengthwise in this little strip. And you're assuming there's no objectives there. You're assuming your opponent hasn't placed any terrain there. I find it to be if this is the way that it is going forward, it's going to be a very abusive game mechanic that people are just going to get mad at each other for.
Yep.
And it honestly, I don't think we're going to use it in our events. It's just, I don't even think we'll use it in club games.
Well, I think I don't think we should throw the rule out just yet. I mean, if you want to talk about fair, in the last tournament, I had to play against 2 people, and their armies got free terrain, and that free terrain was then used to just game against me. I had to go against one guy with the Moonshine, was able to put it in the center of the board of his deployment area and make his whole army fearless for the whole game. Then I had another one who deployed all his trees, so all of a sudden my entire army can't move because I play Beast Claw Raiders and I can't move in between the trees.
Oh, God.
So, you know, the fact that you get a free piece of terrain should not just indicate you get this huge advantage for your army.
I don't disagree with you that the board is getting cluttered. And I also don't disagree that it's silly that every single engagement, my Khorne army drags an Altar of Skulls along. Like, it thematically doesn't make any sense. I agree with you in that sense. However, they have also created a system now where every army has this is like an integral part of your rule set for your army. Now, in your case, I know you're playing armies that just so happen to have not gotten terrain yet. But if you were playing an army that had terrain, you wouldn't
I'm a gaming hypocrite, so I'd be fully supportive of throwing out the rules.
So like when Beast Claw come out with their stew pot of doom, you're gonna. I know you're gonna be running in every list, and that's the thing. So it's not that I disagree with you. It's just they have created terrain pieces that are like core functionality for how an army functions going forward. So I don't know.
And that's fine, but I just don't feel that they should. I mean, they make them free points so that you want to buy them. Whereas if, you know, unlike 40K, where no one plays with terrain in 40K because you have to pay points for it.
Correct.
I mean, it's a solid point.
Whatever, to start actually charging points for these terrain pieces that give very good abilities, and I'm going to go right to the Moonshrine. I mean, why should the Moonshrine just make this 30-inch fearless bubble?
It's not
for free.
It's just 12 inches, and you have to be holy with it.
Oh, 12, sorry.
Yeah, it's not as bad as you think.
Ross, the Beastman's one is worse than the Moonshine for that because it gets bigger every turn. It's fearless and it's -1 Ren to you.
Nice.
Wait. How does the new Stormcast one in the sorcery thing work?
Oh, you have to spend 100 points for it.
Well, hold on. You mean
you buy that?
The Penumbral engine?
Yeah.
That is
the orb thing.
Yeah, the Penumbral engine. That is not a Stormcast terrain. It is a universal terrain that you can pay 100 points for anybody to take.
Okay.
But it has basically random effects. It's going to help you and your enemy as much as it's going to hurt you and your enemy. I think it's largely a thematic element and not going to be taken in lists, personally. That being said, it is a freaking cool thematic element, especially for open, narrative games, open war games. I think it's got really, really cool rules and will be used. But for competitive play, I just don't see anybody taking it. So
I don't know. 100 points for a chance to. I mean, you get. What is it? It's either you get a free command point or you get to re-roll armor saves within 12 inches. Or it's like a bubble of Mystic Shield. Yeah. It's just one or the other each turn, which
I don't think for 100 points it's worth it.
Yeah.
I think that's what it really comes down to. Like if it was free, then of course everybody, like Ross has a point. If it was free, everybody was going to take it. Right. So I think Ross has a solid point that there is clutter happening. There is this, I'm going to sell you models that you have to buy because they're free. in your army thing.
Yeah.
And I get that. And then the haves and the have-nots thing is always going to be annoying to people because it's true.
Maybe it would have been smarter to say that if your army doesn't have its own terrain piece, its own specific terrain piece, the Penumbra engine is free for you, and that would be.
Yeah, but see, I don't want to. I'm with Ross in a degree, or I don't want to see every. Oh my God! Look, we're doing a meeting engagement mission. Cool. Let's bring the Penumbra engine. Everybody brings the Penumbra engine. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Are they allowed to bring terrain in meeting engagement?
I don't know. But like, think about it. If you just played 1,000 points match play game, not meeting engagement, you would just my whole army's just. What do we got? A bag of holding with a Penumbra engine in it. We just chuck it out every mission. Like it thematically is stupid. So I don't like it at all. The only one that thematically I enjoy is the Sylvaneth one because it makes sense that they're growing trees everywhere they go, and that's where this whole thing started anyway. Was with them. So, but I don't know. It doesn't make sense to like. Every single battle that my 100 blood warriors go into battle, Khorne sends them an altar of skulls from the realm of the dimension of Khorne. Like, how many like portals of skull or how many skull altars are there dotting the landscape of Age of Sigmar? There's like millions.
How many Fire Slayer pizza ovens are there out there?
Yeah. Well, it's a chain restaurant. They're all over the place.
It's a Sabaros.
Or like they have to come up with this stupid fluff like for the oven where they summon it out of the ground and then when they leave the battle they're like, no, go back down, pizza oven. Like it's so silly. Like so part of me, I agree with Ross in a lot of ways, but I don't know. I honestly would have been really cool if every faction got a battalion that included the terrain piece in it for free. In the cost of the battalion, but the battalion was themed to be like the keepers of the altar or something like that. That would have been cool.
Like the Moonshine's literally a mountain. Like
so like for Flesh Eater Courts, it would be the Royal Architects, and they build the Charnel Throne on the battlefield before it begins.
And then it would cost points, so it's not just an auto take.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. So it's not like an auto take because it would cost points then, and it would be tied to a thematic element, So
well okay. Obviously, the Vargulf is the architect, and then the ghouls are all the workers.
Slaves.
Yeah, whatever. Sure. Workers, slaves, same thing.
So yeah, in that degree, I think there's some room for criticism on that. I do. Yeah. But anyway, so there's that, and that's the big controversy, and I'm pretty sure most people are not going to be playing with those new terrain rules. However, I have hope, and I really do have confidence that I believe they're going to be FAQing that entire thing, because I think they know that it was not well received at all. I don't think they're dumb, so yeah.
Super poorly written.
Yeah, it is. It was not well thought out. Not at all. Especially from the fun factor. So, I don't like being able to just exploit and abuse my opponents by putting terrain where their faction terrain would go. Like, that's just frustrating. So anyway, so moving right along, so there's that, and then the one thing that I'm not sure you guys were aware of is there are some updated missions. So basically all the missions are the same except for Places of Arcane Power was altered to be, instead of guys with artifacts or wizards, it's just heroes holding it, which is a great change. I love that. That's going to help out everybody. Yeah. And then the other thing that happened with all the missions is literally I'm pretty sure every single deployment map for all the missions is changed. Knife to the Heart used to be the diagonal one right across. And now it's got that step. It's got one of those step deployments in it.
I so love measuring those out.
Yeah, it's annoying. But we'll see. It's kind of fun. It's going to spice things up, at least for a bit. And then, what was the other big change? Oh, the mission where you burn the objectives. You can start burning the objectives on turn 1. I believe it went from 6 objectives to 8 objectives.
Yes, it's 8 objectives, and it's the short edge deployment now.
So you won't be able to just auto burn the whole line on turn 1. So
Right.
Unless you're Beast of Chaos.
well, even
Well,
then it might be tough.
presumably
Yeah.
your opponent would have put something in the way so that you can't get behind them. Because it's essentially 2 of the objectives are deep in your deployment zone, and 2 of them are a little bit further up.
Okay.
So it's a
necessarily.
little bit easier to protect.
I think that's a really good change. Just altering the way the board is laid out is going to make that mission a lot more fun.
Of course, if you're playing Seraphon, they'll just summon skinks on it and it won't matter. But
Or stuff will ambush off the side.
So, and then what was
Seraphon as it is?
the battle for the past one? I know they changed it.
Hashtag not salty.
The battle for the past, they changed it to be like a triangle deployment, which I think that'll be kind of fun. So keep it spicy. I like that. I think usually their missions are fantastic for Age of Sigmar. So again, I'm looking forward to those changes. So yeah, but we have a lot of missions to play. And then they added in everybody's favorite, another table of 6 mysterious terrain markers that you can roll on.
thus invalidating our dice.
6 more terrain pieces, right?
Yep. One of them is like you can't draw a line of sight through the terrain, like the wildwoods. Another, and there's one where if you're a general standing near it, you get another command point.
There's one that's just a volcano.
Yeah, it hurts stuff at the volcano. That's cool. So
It's like a house at the volcano, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah,
It
but
seems random.
honestly, like I never remembered them, even though we do roll for it and we try to play with them, and the dice is sitting right there, and we always forget them anyway. So now that's just going to make it even more difficult.
More
So
to forget.
Well, I'm glad they didn't buy those terrain dice now.
well, you probably have a new set because you got to sell them. So.
Yeah, of course.
Now, I was thinking, though, this is a nice opportunity for us because we're engaging in the battle reports now. We're trying to make more thematic things, go the narrative route more so in the future, especially here coming up. I was thinking this gives us the opportunity to make some really cool things. Like, for example, we roll for terrain, but instead of using these little dice markers all over the board that we don't even pay attention to, what if, say you roll for overgrown on this this building here, and I turn over to my handy dandy terrain box. Let me grab it here. My thematic terrain box, and I just pull out some of this stuff and put it all over the terrain piece, so it looks overgrown. I think that would look really cool. Or I know from our old 40K days, back when they had the craters and the destroyed vehicles, I know for a fact that John has these little T-light, electronic light-up smoke markers that would make a fantastic, overgrown terrain or volcanic terrain, something like that. Or like, let's say somebody has some extra spirit hosts laying around. There's your haunted terrain right there, or your damned terrain.
Yeah, because they're worthless
like
anyway,
that.
so you might as well use them for objectives.
Hey, whoa.
Well, if you didn't know, you can make 3 spirit hosts from each model of spirit hosts if you really wanted to.
You want it stupid.
I did that with my Zeech. For my Zeech army, my Furies are individual spirit hosts, the individual ghosts. So I made 9 of them from one box. So
That's the pro tip right there.
Back in the day, anyway, when I needed Furies to make my OP Zeech list. So, but anyway, I thought that would be cool, and it's something we could look into. I think that would be a lot of fun. It would look great on battle reports and just for pickup games in general. So yeah,
That's cool.
So anyway, that's all that stuff. Now it's the important stuff. So everybody's going to skip to now. We're going to look at the match play points because this is the big changes to all the factions.
Whoa.
Oh, whoa.
Did we discuss the command point thing?
Oh, yes. That is a big change. I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. So I guess you're referring to the fact that you can only get the 1 command point now?
And what you can spend them on. You can spend them on 3 new things, right?
Oh yeah, there's 3 new commands.
I forgot about that. That's right. So now I'm shooting from memory here, but I believe it is 3 new command abilities, generic ones for everybody. and they are spend a command point for any hero within 6, and your general if he's in 12 for a unit. You can reroll all ones of a save for the unit. You can reroll ones to hit in shooting and in melee. I believe that's what they are. I think
Isn't it just the old triumphs list?
No, that's another thing too. I forgot about. There's 3 more triumphs.
3 new triumphs for us to forget.
Yeah.
Because the old 3 triumphs are now command points.
Yeah, the old triumphs are not command points. The triumphs are different. Because triumphs are like reroll all failed hits once per game for a unit, whereas the command points are just reroll hits of 1. So, does that make any sense?
They're less powerful.
Right, because you can use them as many times as you have the command points, whereas the triumph is just once per game. So,
and you can only buy 1 now, right? You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a huge change, and I think it's a fantastic change. So previously, for every 50 points you left off of your list and you didn't buy anything with, you got an extra command point. Well, now you have to spend 50 points in your list, and it gives you 1 extra command point. But that's all you're allowed to do. You can't do more than 1 from the wording. So that's huge. That's going to change a lot of those lists that were intentionally being like 200, 300 points down. Iron Jaws to get like plus 26 attacks on their board.
Gristle Gore.
Gav Bomb.
Yeah, the Gav Bomb. Yeah, I guess a little bit of that there. But honestly, it's a fantastic change and just baseline because, in my opinion, it leaves less room for abuse. That's all it does. It tidies it up. It's still nice and powerful. And I like the fact that now you have to spend the points. So, because before you would get the extra command points and you would automatically get a triumph in most situations. Well, pretty much every situation.
Yeah.
Now you don't auto get that triumph anymore. So I like that. It makes you make better list building decisions. So, because that extra command point could be a big deal. So, yeah, good stuff. We good now? Can we go to the points now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, no, I don't think we have the full comprehensive list, but I think I know for the most part what the changes are. I guess starting with the endless spells. And again, some of these might be wrong, but I'm pretty confident that they're right. So I think they're all the same except for the changes here. So the Ether Void Pendulum is 50 points. The Burning Head is changed to 30 points. Cogs is up to 80 points, which is fantastic. Life Swarm, is that up to 50 points?
I believe
yeah,
so.
that's 30.
It's only 30, and they made it 20 more. Wow, that's crazy. Geminids, which is amazing, to 60 points, which I think is fantastic. Malevolent Maelstrom down to 10. Purple. Hey, Malevolent, don't laugh at the Malevolent Maelstrom. I think that could be a good thing. Because 10 points. It's 10 points to get extra dispels in. That's all it is. It's free dispels. And the way that sucker works is you get to dispel twice if it's in range of somebody. So if they cast a spell, your wizard tries to dispel, and then the Malevolent Maelstrom tries to dispel. It's fantastic for 10 points. I think I'd like to see more of that. You don't take it to do damage. You just take it to dispel spells.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then, okay, here's the big one. And this is going to be fun. I know John's excited about this. The Purple Sun went from 100 to 50 points. This is going to be good. I think we're going to see a lot of Purple Suns flying around.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, you don't think so?
I mean, what do they do again?
Okay, I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong. When it gets near you, you roll a dice, and on a 6, it kills the unit. It kills the model.
Kill the whole unit.
No, it kills the model. It goes on a by model basis. On a 6, it just murders the model, or it's removed from play. Is that how?
Well, that would make sense because that's how the old Purple Sun used to be. Well, I think it was like it was an initiative roll, and if you failed it, the whole unit just right down.
Oh yeah, back in fantasy,
gross.
fantasy super spell wars.
And every single time I ever cast it, it bounced back onto my own unit and killed me.
Yeah. But honestly, I think I could see it working now because it's so cheap. I mean, it's half as expensive as it was. So now you could send that teleporting wizard up there, it's worth it just to try it now because it's so much cheaper. And it'll fit in lists. I think it's a threat. I mean, this is something is that how it works? Can somebody look it up quick? I'm pretty sure.
Okay, yeah, hold on. I got it right here.
I'm pretty sure on a 6, it just deletes
for each
something.
unit subjected to the baleful energies of the purple sun, roll a number of dice equal to the number of models in the unit. For each 6+, one model in that unit is slain.
See? Okay. Hey,
if the unit has wounds characteristics of 6 or more, it suffers 2d6 more wounds instead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Eat that in a gash.
So, the gash would block. He has a shrug, but still, the point is that's hilarious, especially against horde units are going to hate that thing, or multi-wound model oh my god, that is like the best thing to kill fire slayers with ever. They can't even dispel it. It's just going to float around in their army forever.
It flies 9 inches, and anything it passes, and everything within 1 inch. So if you can hit multiple, wow. Okay, never mind. Hey, anyone have a purple sun I can borrow for Thursday?
It's
using it.
It's only over. Is it 6 or more wounds?
Yeah. If the unit consists of models that have 6 or more wounds, it just does 2d6 wounds.
So look at it this way. Basically, when you chuck it at somebody, foot characters, anything that has 5 wounds on a 6 just dies. Well, yeah. Even if it has 6 wounds, 2d6 mortal wounds, it's dead.
It's still dead.
Odds are it's dead.
Dead.
So it's instant killing foot characters on a 6. That's not bad. Just chuck one for 50 points. Okay,
yeah, that's pretty good. Although
it's got a huge range.
Although, much like the purple sun of old, it can still backfire.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I got turn priority. All right, opponent. Okay, here we go. Purple sun coming right back at you.
But it'll definitely be fun. So, anywho, I got stuck up on that one because that's going to be a lot of good times. Anyway, Quicksilver Swords went up to 30.
Moo.
From 20. Gnashing Jaws is now 30, which I don't know. I think Gnashing Jaws is actually really good. So I agree with that. I think it used to be 20. No, it was 40.
No, it was 40.
Oh, it went down.
They dropped
it. I always thought it was really good, too.
No, because nobody took it.
Well, they're crazy.
No, Ross takes it.
Yeah, I take it.
Listen, Gnashing Jaws is one of the few spells that moves very fast, and everything it goes over takes D3.
And the model's cool.
Yeah, and it looks awesome. I like it. I think I would like to see that one.
It's very thematic for any ogre armies.
Actually, one of the best things I saw the last couple weeks is somebody took the Gnashing Jaws model, and they also took a kid's toy shark mouth and put it on the front of the Gnashing Jaws instead of the Gnashing Jaws. It was like a shark, and he was using it with his Ideneth army.
Oh, no.
Freaking fantastic.
That's amazing.
And then the Gravetide is now 20. I don't know. I never even seen it.
I don't actually know what that did.
Is it block line of sight? Is it one of the line of sight blockers?
I don't remember. I remember I took it once and didn't cast it.
I think Gravetide does too, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think it hurts people.
So I think it does both. But anyway, look it up. Let's see what it does. And then you already got your thing open. Yeah. Spell Portal changed to 70, which is great because Spell Portal's done. So.
Okay, so Suffocating Gravetide Predatory can move 8 inches. Each unit has any models that passed across suffer D3 mortal wounds. And subtract 1.
What is that?
What?
Somebody's making milkshakes.
It's okay, God.
Margarita's name.
Was that? I thought maybe someone was revving up a chainsaw. I'm not sure.
Sorry, that was my hobby drill.
Oh. Using a hobby drill in the middle of our talk.
Oh, that's good. This is so good.
Mute button.
What does it do again? What does the Grave Tide do?
It does D3 mortal wounds to anything it moves across, and you have to subtract 1 from the bravery of any unit that has any models it passed across. It's going to be
So it
hard to
doesn't
move
block.
over anything.
Yeah.
Um,
It's cheap. Cheap as chips. There you go.
Oh, but it
20
also
points.
gives cover to anything that's shooting across it.
Oh.
It
Okay.
takes up a lot of room too if you want to block movement,
Yeah.
etc.
But you have
And,
to set it up wholly within 4 inches of the caster, and then it moves 8 inches, so it's pretty close range.
Yeah.
Not like the Skaven garbage, which can just be halfway across the board.
But it's 20 points.
No, the entire way across the board.
So 20 points is like, why not? When it's 20
Right.
points. So,
Well, yeah, because that's why I used to take the swords, because it was 20 points, so why not? But then so many people started taking the swords that they went up to 30.
Shackles also went to 40, which is double, and that's a double on that.
Probably-
Shackles pretty strong though. So
Yeah.
It's because
Especially-
Skaven was abusing it. Yeah.
yeah. Well, now I'm actually seeing some combos because I think Mike was talking about this now, and it's going to be net cheaper to do this now, where you take the spell portal and the purple sun, so you could just chuck the purple sun wherever you want. So that should sow some chaos on the other side of the board, and then it won't come back and bite you. So,
Well, and I remember when the spells first came out, that's what everyone said was going to happen, but then nobody took the purple sun because it was too expensive.
now it's not.
No, it's not.
So cool. All right, so that's some of that stuff. I honestly think overall, I'm looking at the endless spells, thinking this is fantastic. This is very good changes to the point. My only complaint with the endless spells is that the Celestine Vortex, the one for the Hammernado for the Stormcast, is still 40 points, which is ludicrous. It's a worse version of the Quicksilver Swords, and the Quicksilver Swords are 10 points cheaper. So, but we're closing the gap now. They used to be 20 points cheaper.
Yeah, they can only make small adjustments. If they made too big of adjustment, then everyone would take the Hammernado.
The Hammernado could be free, and no one would still use it because we have one cast wizards. So
That's true.
you want to throw the Comet or the Hammernado?
Well, and as we were talking about before we started the cast, the Night Haunt and the Stills are still pretty useless, and they went down too. But I still wouldn't use them.
Well, which one?
Jared,
Which
did
one?
the
What's that, Ross?
I think he was asking about the Comet.
Did the
The
Comet
Comet.
change?
Yeah, did
I
the
don't think
Comet
it did.
change any points, Jared?
No, none of the Stormcast ones changed at all.
Huh.
Which Comet, I think, is a 100-point spell. To be honest, that thing is insane. So, yeah, I think that's fair. The Celestine Vortex should be 2. It should be 1 point. 1 point.
1 point.
So,
How would you fit that into a list?
listen,
Everything's in multiples of 10.
or just let them have it for free. It's
Okay.
that garbage.
Free.
So, but anyway, the Night Haunt ones, the Reaper is not that great, as we were discussing, because it only hits like one model, and
One model at best.
You have to roll over their armor save. Then the chest is okay, the hourglass, whatever. I don't even. But the thing is with them, as I said for the other ones, yes, they're not that great, but they're only 20 points. Like, they're so cheap.
Well,
So,
the hourglass is 60, but that one's pretty decent.
that one's pretty good.
Yeah.
Is that the one that heals you?
It heals everything within range by D3, or it wounds everything within range by D3.
See, that's good.
Yeah.
Those bomb AoE ones are like, I think, like the Purple Sun, like the Magma Monster from the Fire Slayers. Like the ones that do AoE, I think are actually really effective, very effective spells. They work very good against Fire Slayers, very good against Khorne, very good against Slanesh. Anybody that has like little heroes that kind of hang out, it just those things murder them. So,
and then they change how you play. You move away from them, so you sort of dictate how the army moves for a turn or two, which can be an effective strategy.
Or they are just sheerly in the way because you can't walk through an endless spell.
Yep.
It's board
Right.
control.
And like for my Gloom Spites, I was taking the Malevolent Moon, which it has a very far move range, and it's one of those where it moves over things and does D3 when it moves over, with the Gnashing Jaws. So you do both in the same turn. You're literally hitting all this stuff with 2d3 mortal wounds and just killing the character support in the backfield. But that's the reason they exist. My Khorne army is having massive success with murdering characters in the backfield. It's part of the reason I'm winning a lot of these games. So throw the Wrath Axe, throw the Icon, and just kill all their characters in the back. It's fantastic. So I think Endless Spells are underutilized overall, and I'd like to see them be more utilized, and these points help that. So this is great. Cool. Anybody else? Endless Spell stuff?
I don't know.
Nope, let's move.
All right, moving on. What do I got here? I guess we can start in with Chaos. A lot of the Chaos changes. Now, I don't think I'm going to hit all the changes. And in all honesty, there's not a ton of changes in the General's Handbook overall that I'm noticing. I was very surprised how conservative they were with the changes to units. Most of the changes in the books are either -20 or +20, and there's a few -10s, +10s here and there. But that's pretty interesting, all things considered. There wasn't any like huge swings in units, and for them, that's saying something for Games Workshop to be conservative when it comes to this, because they're not going for those underselling factions and just making them undercosted so you buy them. You know, this is a myth that is propagated online that Games Workshop just balances for sales. It's not true at all. A perfect example of it is right here. I've never thought that was true anyway. So looking at Beasts of Chaos, I think is the first place to look. And this actually will overgo into Tzeentch a bit. Tzeentch saw a lot of point changes, and Beasts of Chaos saw some point changes. So I think the major one that I want to focus on is the Zangor Enlightened on the discs changed. They went from 140 to 160 for 3, which is a big change because that was a very staple go-to unit. Now, because usually people are taking 6 to 9 of them, so that's 60 to that's 40 to 60 more points in your list just from that one unit, which is something. And I think that it deservedly so. But even at 160, they're still phenomenal. I don't think it neuters them. It doesn't make them a non-choice or anything.
So is the community webpage correct in that people are now going to start taking dragon ogres instead? Is that accurate?
I mean, that's everybody was joking about that.
Never.
I don't know. To a degree, yeah. They're silly, right? Obviously, not everybody's going to go out and start a dragon ogre army. That's not what happened here.
I mean, I already have 3 of them. How good are they now?
I don't think they're bad. I don't think
Still terrible.
I see you say that, but I've never. Almost all the units in AOS are not bad. It's just how you use them. Is that a giggity? Is that what that was? So that being said, yes, they're not lying when they say it incentivizes the taking of other types of units to fit that category, and it does. It is not a lie to say that. Can you make these units that are not the best unit in their category work? Well, obviously you can. You guys are whining left and right about Stormcast Vanguard Chamber. Like, I literally have Etherwings and Griffhounds, and you're all crying because you could make them work. This is my point. So,
to be fair, we're crying about the Etherwings and the Griffhounds. Those are the units we are crying about. Let's just put that out there.
I mean, my point is, it's a non-conventional list that's taking the stuff that everybody says is bad, and you can make it work. Do you have to put in some units that are better? Well, of course, you can't just show up with Dwarf Warriors and expect to win. But do Dwarf Warriors have a place in the game I think that they do.
Hate mail now.
I think they do. I really do. In fact, they actually went up in points in the handbook. Dwarf Warriors were so effective that they went up 10 points. So
do all their saves.
well, I believe people were taking them in mixed order because for 80 points for 10 guys is not bad. So now it's 90. So I believe that's right. So
I mean, their choices for battling in mixed order was them or High Elf Spearmen.
or Skinks. Skinks.
No,
Yeah,
they're not battling. They're battling only for Seraphon now.
Oh, they changed that. Okay. Interesting. So right. So all things considered, yes, any chaff unit has a place. I say especially now. We were just talking about this. If you're designing a list that does not have chaff, throwaway units, the cheap stuff that you say is not being effective, if that is not in your list, you will lose. Absolutely. Chaff is essential to playing this game, especially in the era of so many armies can get across the board and just blow up your fighting units, your monsters. They could just kill them instantly from anywhere on the board on turn one. They're gone. That's too risky to not have a way to screen them. So yeah, the value of these cheaper units does go up because of that. So Dragon Ogres, I don't know. I never played with them, but you know what? I'll say it. I bet somebody can make them work. I don't think they're garbage. I think they're usable.
I mean, I'd like to see them work, but I sold the rest of my Chaos Army, so I will never know.
I mean, from what I understand, they're pretty fast.
Or the Shaggoth guy?
I have both. I have a Shaggoth and I have 3 Dragon Ogres. And I remember when AOS first came out, I took them and they were just complete and utter garbage. I think somebody killed them with 20 clan rats. It was very sad. Now,
Josh, you are the Beastman guy. Am I mistaken in Dragon Ogres being able? They can move 6 inches and they get started the game, right? Is that something that they do? I know they got some speed thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
No, they just move 8.
They have an ability to be healed. Like, I think the Shaggoth can cast a spell that heals them and gives them like +1 to hit or something. Or
let's see.
I don't know. I don't know.
Because they stink.
But I mean,
I brought it up. Jeez.
The point that I'm trying to make is I feel like a lot of these underutilized units, I think that they can work. Now, if you're talking strictly top level competitive, well, no. But I don't think most of us play top level competitive every single game.
We should play Dragon Ogres versus Craxagore Battle Royale.
All right. We'll throw down.
No, you're right. They don't have any extra. No, I thought they had a battalion or something. I don't know.
I think there is a battalion.
Thunder, there it is.
3
Thunderscorn Stormherd. Dragon Ogre, Shaggoth, and 3 units of Dragon Ogres. In your hero phase, you can roll a dice for each unit in this battalion. On a 4+, they heal 1 wound. And they can do mortal wounds to enemies in 1 inch of them. So they lightning you. So, okay.
3 units of Dragon Ogres.
I mean, the bottom line is Enlightened are way better. Obviously, they're still better, and especially at 160 points because Enlightened hit like a truck. They're super fast. But I don't know. I feel like if you want to play the game for fun and you want to play all these off units, don't let people tell you can't. I think going in knowing you're not the most competitive, but trying to play in a way you're like, okay, I'm going to take this underdog stuff and I'm going to try to make it work is an extremely fun way to play the game, especially if you have a good attitude about it. You know, you're not going in thinking I'm going to win every game and then getting frustrated. You're just like, okay, I'm going to try with this stuff. I'd encourage people to give that gameplay method a shot. So, yeah.
So then you can just shoot them with all of your Vanguard Raptors?
No, I mean, pew, pew, pew. I have other lists that I wouldn't play against people like that, by the way. But I think we all do this. I know John runs the Saurus. Ross is running Beast Claw. Nate does Night Haunt. Like, we all do this in a way, you know.
Poor Night Haunt.
I play Gloomspike Gits. They're not the end of the world. So, yeah. But anywho, back to points.
Yeah, let's go back to the points.
Yeah, so that was a big change to the Enlightened. I think there's a lot of places in the handbook where this is true, where a lot of the units that didn't have it before got the battalion points decrease. If you take like a max size unit of them, you get the points decrease. So like some chariot units got changed that way. I don't think it's anything that's remarkable there. But for Tzeentch, there was actually a lot of changes. Where are we? I'm trying to find that Tzeentch stuff. Okay. Maybe I don't have it on me. But from what I understand, a lot of the Tzeentch characters came down 20 points. So I'm pretty sure, if memory serves me correctly, the Gaunt Summoner came down to 160. The Zangor Shaman came down to 160. I think the Curseling, the one with the dude on his shoulder, went up to 180 from one. It might have even been 140 for him. Maybe, yeah, but he was a 2-cast wizard. I think that's pretty low for him.
Oh.
So I think he should have been 180. So, and then what else changed with them? The shooty Tzeentch demons. So the Flamer and the Exalted Flamer, they came down. And the Pink Hearts, this is the big change for Tzeentch, went from 200 to 180, which I personally still think is overpowered or overcosted for what they do. I know I've heard a lot of talk. We were talking about it today about how pink horrors are like a real deal because you get 10 pinks for 180, but when they die, you get 20 blues when you can summon in for free. And then when those blues die, you get 20 brimstones that you can summon in for free. So I know me and Josh were talking about this today. He thinks that is still a very effective thing, I guess, for making chaff and stuff.
Agreed.
Okay. I disagree. I think after playing these for quite some time.
Well, I mean, you're restricted on where you can summon them in, correct?
Yes, they can only be summoned wholly within 12 of a Tzeentch hero and 9 inches away from an enemy.
Yeah, because this is kind of how it works, I think, with them and with Slaanesh. You go in and then you almost kind of have to back off so you can summon. Like you have to retreat and summon things.
Well, Tzeentch might have a little easier go of it because they'll have heroes in the backfield just camping because they don't want to be in melee. Yeah. However, see, this is where my drawback to them comes in. The only way you get them is if they die. So, and they're expensive at 180 for 10. So they're gonna in your battle line. So they're 180 for 10. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So to be battle line in an expensive army, they're going to be the front line. I don't know how you have something else in front of them. Maybe if you spend the points for some extra blues or brimstones, I guess you could screen them. But the bottom line is they're going to be being killed. So when the enemy's killing them, they're standing right there, usually in the middle of the board, near objectives. And what you want to do when they die is summon more chaff. You want to summon more guys on objectives, but you won't be able to. Either your heroes will be hanging back. If your heroes are in the mid, they'll be too close to the enemy to bring them in. And functionally speaking, they show up, sure. And I guess in certain situations, they're going to be able to get to objectives and stuff. But they die to a stiff breeze. They do literally nothing. They do not hurt any other. There's no threat whatsoever to any unit in the game from blues and brims. They do nothing. So they don't even shoot. It's 5s and 5s, one attack. So I don't know. I guess I respect what you guys are saying and I hear what you're saying. I just functionally I think it's a trap, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just don't see it. So
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't faced it, honestly. The only Tzeentch player I played had just a bunch of Zangor and Enlightened on discs, which I killed with chain rasp, so I don't know.
I mean, if
everyone seems to have trouble with those things, but I was able to knock them down pretty quickly. But I think it's just because those things going against a horde, if you have a lot of attacks, they don't have very good saves. So I don't know.
They don't, and they only get their buff when they go second or after
Yes.
someone else.
Exactly. So I was able to keep things going so that nothing close to them had attacked before they attacked. So then they go, and then the chain rasps go. And since they boogied up the board on turn 1, I have all my buffs on the chain rasps. So they're hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s. And it's so many attacks that they just went down.
I see that.
So-
Enlightened are actually quite durable because they have 4 wounds each.
Sure. Yeah.
And the thing with them is their speed. And what you do with them is use them in conjunction with a chaff unit. So let's say your horde's coming up the board there. And since I'm literally twice as fast as you, probably even more, you'll get the drop. So normally what people do is they'll take a Ungor Raider, something that's kind of quick, a little chaff unit or some other type of thing, and they'll run up to the front of your horde and leave like an inch or so on the far right side of your horde, and then they'll fly the Enlightened up right behind the Ungor with one of the models strung out on the right side where that little gap was. Then they'll charge with the Ungors and they'll get in combat on the right side in that gap with the one Enlightened and then string the other ones out. They will activate the Ungor first and do nothing to you. Then you will have to activate your Chain Rasp horde who kill the Ungor. And you can only attack with like 1 or 2 models against that one Enlightened on the side.
Mm.
And then the Enlightened trigger their re-rolling all their hits and wounds crap that they do because something fought near them.
Yeah.
Then they pile in because the Ungors are now dead and they just kill your entire squad. Like with that buff, on 9 of them, they will blow up anything. They do so much damage. So,
yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I guess my opponent was trying to be a little too bloodthirsty because he charged more than 2 units in. So, because I had a small unit sitting on the objective, and he went for them first because if he killed them, then he'd claim that objective and he could burn it. So it was smart in a way, but it also let me kill his most effective unit like on turn 1.
yeah.
I still lost though, so I guess it was a smart play.
I think they're a good unit. I'd like to see them. I think they should be 180, but 160 I think is a good start. I think they're still definitely usable. But anyhow, Tzeentch overall, since we went through all these things, their characters coming down, the Zangor's coming down, all the demons coming down. I think Tzeentch might be in a golden age here coming up. I think they'll actually be playable as far as Tzeentch is concerned. I think this army in general still has a few problems. Like their battalions are kind of meh. There's some older mechanics and some of their artifacts and stuff don't work, but this points changes definitely helps them. They might be saving 100 to 140 on some lists of points. So like enough to get another squad, which is great. So, and then what are some of the other big changes? Oh, Undead. We can do them next. Legions in the Gash. Saw some decent changes. Most of this was points going up for the most part, but then some odd changes here and there that I think are going to be a big deal.
Manfred.
Did Manfred change?
He went to 380. He dropped by 40 points, I think.
40 points for Manfred.
No, wait, 60. He was
60 points. He's coming
He
back.
was 420, I think, or 420.
Was he 420?
He's on sale.
420 friendly. Yeah.
Friday
Yeah.
went down too.
Yeah, he went down by 40, and I think Neferata went down by 20, and then Arcan went up by 20, I think. So Arcan's 340. He's still cheap, which
How is he cheaper than the
he's
other
still
one?
cheaper than the other ones, and he's
This
still
is
the
because-
best one. So it's like, I don't know. They're making small adjustments.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think
All that's good.
they don't
Yeah.
value casting as highly as we do, I don't think, in their
Yeah.
points configuration.
Well,
I guess,
that-
and Manfred does have that ability where he just shrugs off the first wound in every phase. So I don't know. I guess he should be durable, but in every game I've taken in him, he's fallen down real quick. So I don't know. I don't know what other people are doing, but he's paper. Like he just
Yeah.
collapses.
Well, maybe we can. There are some other changes that might be helping him out. Because isn't he like the skeleton leader guy?
Not traditionally. That's more Arcan's bag.
That's Arcan. Okay.
Yeah,
And
he's.
I thought he had bonuses to help that, or maybe I was
He
mistaken.
gives out a bonus. I think he gives like he has an aura of like reroll to hit and wound. I guess I should just open my app again.
Well, but anyway, while you're doing that, Nagash went up, I think 50 points.
50 points. Yep.
That's great. He can't be more. He cannot be expensive enough, in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
1,000 points sounds about right. So, but that's good to hear that. And then Dire Wolves actually went up a little bit. I think 10 points. They used to be 60.
Yeah, 70.
So yeah, I think that's going in the right direction. And you guys know that I hate Dire Wolves. I think that at 60 points, I thought Dire Wolves were absolutely one of the most undercosted units in the entire game for what they did. So at 70, they're the same as Blood Reavers now, and they're still better than Blood Reavers. So
how many wolves are you getting for 60 points?
You get
5
with 70 points now.
Wounds.
70 points gets you 5 dire wolves that have 2 wounds apiece.
And they're like move 10, something like that?
Yes. I think they're fairly fast.
Their
They
battle
get up
line,
the board really quick.
their battle line,
Wow.
they move 10, they have 2 wounds, they have a 5-up save?
And they're summonable.
Yeah, they can be brought back.
5-up save. They have a deathless save. They can, with the corpse card or something, they can have a 4-up save.
The corpse card increases their armor. Yeah.
Which, that wasn't super utilized. But the bottom line is you have a 70.4-up armor save, 10-inch move, 2 wound, 2 attack, right? They have 2 attacks?
It's 2 attacks, 4s, no rend, 1 damage.
So they're Blood Reavers that have a better save, move faster, have a deathless save. Like,
sure, but they don't give the
and you can bring them back to life.
They don't give the army blood tithe points when they die, so I don't know. They don't really serve the same function.
Hey, everybody gives blood tithe points.
Yeah, for you. That's not why I'm bringing them in my army. Okay, I can't bring them yet though because I don't have any cav bases to put mine on. So,
but still, at 70 points, it's more realistic. But I still think they should be a 100-point unit.
I mean,
I'll say it.
Like my wolves for my Beast Hall Raiders, the Saber Tusks, you get 2 wolves for 40 points. And they're nowhere near as good as that.
Yeah, but don't those guys have 3 wounds? I don't know.
No.
Saber Tusks are
3 wounds with a 6-up save.
Oh, they do have 3.
That doesn't mean anything. No shrug save.
Look, we all know Beast Claw Raiders are pretty broken in a bad way. Not in it's awesome way. It's they're not great.
True. Fortunately, the General's Handbook has done me some favors, so I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to its release. My list alone has dropped by 100 points, so I'll definitely be able to fit some more in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Saber Tusks have Frost Sabers. They're called now. They have
Sabers, yeah.
3 attacks, 4s, 3s, rend 1 damage.
Now, what was the other big change to death? Graveguard. Oh my gosh.
Graveguard got interesting.
Are awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
So they went for what did they used to be 5 models for like 100 points or something crazy?
Yeah. Now their minimum unit size is 10. Yeah.
They're 140 for 10. But they have a max squad of 30 bonus. They're only 360 for 30 of them.
Yeah.
480, I think.
That's crazy. That's so good.
No, yeah. Their max unit is 40, right? That's
30.
30? Is it 30?
Yeah,
okay.
30.
Not like the skeletons. Skeletons are 40.
And I'd like to see them on the table. I think this is a very good change. It'll make them usable, a viable choice.
I got to get some round bases for mine. Yeah.
I'll just see skeletons.
It'd be interesting to bring them back out. And I guess the other thing that people have been talking about, of course, is the Reapers. The Dreads. The Reapers went up to 160. So for everyone who had a unit of 30, now you've gone up by 60 points. So,
I think good change. I'm happy with that.
I think what will happen is everyone will sell the Reapers and get the Dreadblade Harrows, and because now I think the Dreadblades are 30 are 360 for 30 of them, and they're pretty ridiculous. So.
You mean the Blade Geist?
Oh, Blade Geist. Sorry, yeah, Blade Geist.
30 Dreadblade Harrows.
Yeah, Or no, you know what? No. It's 20. You can go up to 20, but it's I think 360 or 320. I don't know. I was just putting in a list together. I'm gonna try a unit of 20 on Thursday.
Yeah, because with
with
Legion of Grief, you can essentially still run Nagash. The Nagash list that had the Grimghast Reapers, the 2 spells. You can just take Nagash and the Blade Geist now in the Legion of Grief, right?
So you can just do the same thing where you bring them back after they die.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I mean, the thing is, the Legion the spells are not very good. There's only 3 spells. I mean, not saying they're not very good, but you only have 3, so it really limits what you can do. You know,
right? But Blade Geist are way better than Grimghast Reapers.
Yeah, threes, rend 1, 2 attacks each, 1+1 attack on the charge. So.
Well, and the God mode ability of falling back with a flying unit and
then charging. Yeah. Also, unlike Reapers, -1 to hit does not make them completely useless. So that's kind of how I feel. I took a unit of 20 Reapers once. Someone put a -1 to hit aura on them, and they did nothing for the rest of the game. It was Ross. Ross did that.
But overall, I think it's a great change to Death. What they did with this stuff, making Graveguard better.
Then all of my Night Haunt stuff, except for the Reapers, went way down in points. Mm-hmm. So essentially, like every character, the Black Coach, they all went down by 20.
Yeah, I cannot believe that the Knight of Shrouds is 140. I just he is an absolute monster for 140.
Except when he just dies to a stiff breeze. I don't know. If you don't roll your 4-ups, I'm just talking from my experience, because I cannot roll a 4-up to save my life.
You're playing the wrong army.
I can roll lots of 6s, as you've seen, but when it comes to trying to roll a 4-up for my armor saves for my Night Haunt characters, I make about 25% of those rolls. It's frustrating because it comes out the same way. Oh, you did 8 wounds. I saved 2. Great. It keeps happening that way.
I'll just reiterate though, so you understand why I think this guy's great. He's better than a Lord Aquilor, and a Lord Aquilor is 180.
Okay, so Lord Aquilor isn't the guy that has a spell. He's just
he's the guy on the Griff Charger, the commander, Mr. Teleport.
Oh, so he has mobility shenanigans. I mean,
but Knight
of Shrouds moves 12. Okay,
right, but his command ability is also fantastic. So I think the command abilities are a wash. They're both great.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right.
And, the Lord Aquilor,
he's awesome. I'm gonna start taking 2.
You should. I am terrified of those guys.
I have 3 because I bought 3 starter sets, and
there you go.
I finally have an excuse to paint him.
Knight of Shrouds. I think Night Haunt are going to see a bit of a resurgence here, just like Tzeentch. Again, nothing crazy happened, but because some of the better stuff has gone up in points, and there's going to be a change in the meta from that, the people that played that stuff, like Daughters of Cain lists, can't run their lists anymore. They have to change them because they're over points now.
Yeah.
So now I'm not saying they're bad. It's just going to be altered. So there's going to be a change there. They're going to lose something.
I mean, I looked at my list that I played for the battle report that we just finished, and I've saved 120 points across the board. So that means a new character for me, because I don't think anything else. I can't afford any units because I think everything's like 140. Or the other option I had was adding chain ghasts to throw their big chain balls at people. Yeah. And extend my hero's buff range, because they're only 70 now, so they're a pretty good deal.
But in the nature, in the nature of the way AOS works, it's a fairly well balanced system where the points are pretty much right for most things, and it really throws it off when the good stuff comes down a little bit, but this bad stuff comes up a little bit. It's going to throw off the whole meta for a little while. There's going to be things popping up that weren't possible before. List combos that we have yet to think about that are now possible because we never thought to take these units in combination. And now you have the extra points to throw in this other thing that can even combo further because, again, like you said, you have those extra points. Yeah. there's a whole bunch of stuff that's out there now that I think is going to start bubbling to the surface. And it's good. It's good for the game. So I think Night Haunt, I'm not going to sit here and say they're top tier, they're going to crush everybody. No. But are they far more viable than they were before? Yes, I think I would say that is true. Same with Tzeentch. Although I think Night Haunt made out better than Tzeentch overall.
Yeah, it could be.
So cool. Any other stuff with death there that I missed or we missed?
Well, we don't have the flesh eater courts yet. Right.
Yeah, flesh eater courts are not in this. We don't have that until a couple of weeks after this comes out.
Right.
So.
And hey, maybe they don't change. That's possible. I got to be honest, as a corn player, I am very scared for this points change FAQ because I love me some Slaughter Priest, and there's no way those guys are staying 100 points.
Star Drakes don't love no Slaughter Priest.
That's the truth.
There's no way they're 100 points. That's absurd. It's an absurdity. So,
they're a 3-cast wizard.
They're not wizards, but
whatever.
They do cast.
They do cast 3 times for 100 points. I pay 140 for 1 spell.
It's absurd. I agree. I'm not saying it's not. And there's 6 wounds too. Why not?
Yeah, I only have 5.
Well, all that flesh. I mean, it makes sense.
Bronze, the glistening flesh.
Oh.
Yes. So anyway, this FAQs that are coming out, I really hope they nail Skaven. I would be fine with flesh
because we all hate Skaven.
Well, no, I mean it's this is even. I mean, I do hate them. We'll just get that out of the way. But that being said, I think if flesh eater courts did not change, I would be okay with it. I think they're strong. They're very strong, but it's something that is deal withable. Skaven, on the other hand, are just flat out undercosted across the entire army. It's insane. Absolute. Why is a bell 200 points? 200. Literally right now, before the handbook drops, a Lord Aqualord, I keep bringing this guy up because I love him, is the same points as a Screaming Bell.
It seems fair. What would happen if he went into combat with that bell?
The bell would crush him. Oh, and here's what really happens.
The bell would summon a Vermin Lord to kill him.
Right, for free. Yeah. And then what would really happen is the bell's like, suck on a vortex, your whole army's dead.
Yeah. You don't even make it there.
So anyway, the point is, I know we rag on Skaven, whatever. I think that they're a fun army. I want to see them be able to be used without all this hate because they're just clearly undercost. To say anything else is just insanity. Everybody knows it. I don't think, again, it should be any drastic stuff. They just need some tweaks that make sense. 2-cast wizards should not be 120 points. So
they're cheaper than my 1-cast wizard.
Yeah.
Now,
and more survivable, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
They could just bounce wounds on the things.
Well, if you take that's a command trait. You don't have to be a general. But still, the point is, they're just undercosted, and it wouldn't take much to make them a fun, viable, strong army without being ludicrous. Is what I'm saying. So, that's what my big hope for the FAQs is a change in Skaven, and then I'm scared of the Khorne changes, but it's probably coming.
I'm also scared of the Flesh Eater Court changes because I can totally see them overcompensating and making it completely useless. But whatever. That's why I'm painting Night Haunt.
I mean, I have said this for a long time. I think Flesh Eater Courts are absurd with their win rate. They're very strong. But again, you can deal with them. I don't think it's the points that's a problem with Flesh Eater Courts. It's the actual rules. So it does scare me that they would change the points. Because that's not the problem.
Right. You just adjust the points until the army doesn't work anymore.
Exactly. Right.
And then what do you have? A bunch of useless plastic.
Yeah. And honestly, I hope they look into other ways to make units viable. Me and Matt, we were playing on Thursday. We were talking about this. Like Storm Vermin, for example. No Skaven players take them because they're overcosted. That's what people say. I think they're 140 points for 10 of them. Okay. But when you really break it down, is 140 points for 10 models that hit on, well, 4s and 3s, but I think they can easily get to 3s and 3s with Ren 1. That's not bad for what they do. They have a decent save. They hit like a truck. They literally kill whatever they attack for the most part. And it's not that 140 is bad for that. It's that when to get them to be good, you have to have a max size squad. So the max size squad is like 5 bazillion points, and people don't want to take it. So I'd like to see them do stuff like keep it at 140 for 10, but then the battalion size, when you max size them, is a better savings to make it more viable to take at that large size. So, and there's pluses and minuses to being a large unit. So I'd like to see changes like that to making something more viable, aside from just flat out changing all the points. So,
yeah, I mean, I think the Stormvermin had a bonus. I don't know if they still do, but they used to have a bonus for outnumbering whatever they're fighting. That I think that's how they get better hitting. So when you have more of them, they are more effective. I think that's. I don't know. That's talking from back when I used to own that army, and
I'm not sure.
So, yeah,
well, you can just apply warp stone to them wherever the hell they have those warp charge thingies to make them better too.
Well, right. There's that guy. The warlock is ridiculous, and he's so. But right, and I think I don't want to see anybody nerf to unplayability. Like nobody should be turning into dispossessed. Like.
Again, the hate mail on the dwarves. It's coming. The hate mail. Please email all correspondence to.
Oh, you won't get any hate mail. The dwarves can't reach the mailbox.
It's fine. Write down your grudges. You all know it's true. You all know it's true. So, but the point is everybody should be viable. It shouldn't be an exercise in frustration because the rules are making it so the game's frustrating. It's not the player. It's not the way you're playing the game. It's just when stuff is undercosted, it makes the game not enjoyable to play because something's not right. And I think that's what they need to address, the fun factor of stuff like Skaven. Especially a shooting-based army that's undercosted is terrifying. It really hurts the game. So, yeah, when there's no weakness to it at all. But anyway, I digress. So where are we on points? We did Undead. Flesh Eater Courts isn't coming out. Seraphon next. Want to look at that?
Sure.
Okay. All right, John, it's your time to shine. So what do we got?
And Josh.
Oh, that's right. He's just picking it up now. That's right.
I don't have the points on me, or I can't remember the points.
I got them right here.
So do you remember the points, Jared?
I remember the points. So one of the big changes was Razordons and Salamanders are now max 3.
Yeah, that's a big change. I know there were a lot of tournament lists where people were running 4 squads of 4 of them to get 16 and just spamming everywhere because they are ridiculous.
And you'll still be able to do that because they're 50 points for 1, right?
Right.
120.
But they're 120 for 3. So that's the same, right?
You get the correct
points ratio, but 1 less guy.
Right, for 3 you get the same price for 3. So, meh. I think the biggest change is the Skinks went up 10 points.
Yes, they did. Yep,
that's a big one because it's just going to chip away. Yeah. They're still really good, but I think most Seraphon lists are going to end up losing like 1 unit from what they had, which again, if they lose a
summon it.
right, but if they lose a unit to start and another army gains a unit,
yep,
like now things are a little more balanced, just a little bit. They did change around some of the conjuration point costs for some things.
No, they didn't. No, we looked at that today. The conjuration points are exactly the same. Yep, unchanged.
Are you sure? I thought some of the higher end ones got cheaper. Like I thought the Bastildon got cheaper. I thought.
I don't think so because it was at the top of the. When I looked today, it was at the top of the list. The Bastildon was the top one, and it was still the top one for the same points. So I don't think the chart changed at all. It was a little blurry, so I might be wrong, but from what I saw in my memory, it was a little blurry.
Your memory was a little blurry.
A little blurry moment, but I think it's exactly the same across the board. It looked like it functions the same way. Summoning functions the same way, and it's word for word the same from what I could see. So,
yeah, I think they really hit the Thunderquake list hard. They really the engines went up in points. Again, the skinks went up in points. Individual razor dials went up in points. So I think they tried to hit those hard. But Saurus Guard took some pretty big deducts. So I think you may see some Saurus lists come out maybe once in a while. People are being adventurous. I think you may see some more Shadow Strike, double Shadow Strikes come out again, which is exciting to see some different lists. Lists that are more exciting to play against. Thunderquake is just a grind fest. Like, it's no fun to play against. I like running it because I like Monster Mash, but I don't think my opponents enjoy the games as much as they do when I run Saurus or Rippers or Saurus Cab or something. Other things. Saurus.
To your point, I agree. Again, looking back what we had previously talked about, the underutilized units are still good. Like, Saurus are good. The one game we played, I was very much impressed with Saurus. Just straight up normal Saurus units are actually quite effective. Now, maybe they're not the best thing in the entire world, but they can be used. And now that some of this stuff isn't quite as appealing, yes, I think you're right. This other lists are going to be fun to see, fun to play against, and fun to use. So,
yep.
So was that it on their changes? Yeah, Engines to the Gods are 240.
Yeah, they were 220.
I think that's fair.
I think fair. I'd be surprised if the tome doesn't change them to be completely different than what they do. Does Josh have any comments on that? 'Cause I know he's been looking at Seraphon armies lately too.
Old Blood on Carnosaur down 20 points.
Is it?
Yep. Same
nice.
as Scarlet now. Digging that. The only problem is all my stuff is the 5th ed stuff, so it's kind of outdated.
The little tiny Carnosaur.
I have one of those. I have 2 of the big ones, but I'm talking about like the Saurus and Skinks and stuff.
I think I have one of the old Carnosaurs sitting in my box. Somebody modded it to have a Slaneshi Chaos Lord sitting on top of it because it was that small. It just looked like a mount.
The Lizardmen also got a new spell lore. That was one of the new things. And
right. Yes.
There's actually some interesting stuff in there. There is one spell, which I think you're going to like. It is pick a unit in 24 inches and roll a dice for every model in the unit. And on a 6, they take a mortal wound.
Oof.
That's a good spell.
Yeah, and I feel like there were like 2 spells. There was that one and another one that were like decent, which is great because they're like, well, and the Purple Sun. Do I throw in a Skink Priest with the Purple Sun, teleport him over, try to drop a Purple Sun on someone's head, because I can teleport behind them, drop a Purple Sun on a big horde or something, or that big scary monster.
Nagash.
Nagash, whatever. He'll probably block it. But
yeah, he'd block it. Never mind.
But I like if there are viable options to actually cast spells now instead of I'm going to take a salon and not cast spells the entire game.
It's super weird playing Lizardmen because I remember what Lizardmen used to be back in 6th, 7th, and 8th edition, and then suddenly the Salon is like, I'm not going to cast any spell today. I'm just going to sit here and think.
It's like remembering.
Yeah. Well, and also to make that even more viable, every Salon now, I think this is just a built-in rule, at the end of your turn, can if you have selected one of the spells from that new spell lore, you can swap out one of the spells for the lore for another spell in the lore at the end of every turn. So you essentially have access to every spell in the lore, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice toolbox.
That's another callback.
That's
Yeah.
an old thing.
Yep. Was that in the light? The lore of light? Is that what that was? We could do that.
They have
No,
the
that was just
they could just do it.
Yeah, that was just a Slán rule. The Slán could just say, I don't need this spell. I'm going to drop this spell, and then you just roll for because back then you had to roll for your spells. You'd say, I want to roll on the Lore of Shadow now, and I roll it, and yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
So that's pretty much Blizzard stuff. So
yeah.
Other armies that benefited greatly, Kharadron Overlords are looking hot.
Boats went down 40 points.
Yep. The boats are way cheaper. So this is essentially letting them add one, maybe, depending on the list, 2 units into their army. This is great for them. Absolutely. So I'm not ultra familiar with their stuff, but they saw that was probably one of the surprising cuts. They saw a lot. So I do expect to see some more KO, especially since shooting is really a strong meta thing right now. And in conjunction with this, I think, yes, and the good for them. They have been on the back burner for a lot of people for a long time. So I'm excited to see that. I don't think it was anything so far because the reason why they were so nerfed is because they were completely game breaking when they came out. Like they ended Age of Sigmar. I remember they came out and you couldn't play the game anymore because shooting was so dominant. Everybody's heroes were all dead instantaneously from anywhere on the board. They just show up and you're dead. Now that's not as big of an issue from a lot of the other changes, especially the Lookout Sir was huge. It's good to see them getting some help now.
Well, the KO just kind of ignore that because their battle line units +1 to hit heroes.
Well, it's not that they ignore it; it still affects them. They would be even better without it. So,
True.
So, and I think that's what was happening. I remember there was a Warhammer Live had a battle report when KO came out. It was like 3 Bloodthirsters, and on turn 1, KO came in out of the clouds. They had nothing on the board. It literally killed the 3 Bloodthirsters on turn 1, and the game was over with no reprisal. So that cannot happen. The game dies quickly. 40K when stuff like that happens.
Well, I played a game against Evan, and he was playing the 30 block of Zangor.
Yeah.
And I killed it in 1 turn.
And this was again back in a time when most of the books could not do stuff like that. So now there is a lot of stuff that can kill units like that from a lot of different factions. So that's another factor that helped balance it out too. So yeah. But overall, it's great for KO. And then Ideneth Deepkin.
There aren't change at all.
You don't think they changed it all?
No. Not at
I
all.
don't know. I thought they picked up.
My list dropped 1 podcast.
So it did change.
Points. It dropped the thing that didn't do anything in the first place.
But it still changed.
I guess.
So the points generally went up for the eels, right?
Yeah, 10 points.
Okay, but people were taking tons of them, so that's decently significant. And the tide cap. Right.
The big thing is the Soul Scryer, the one that lets them teleport and deep strike. That went up 30 points.
Okay.
And people used to take 2 of those. So if they did that, so that's 60 points.
That's probably a good change, though.
Yeah, huge. Because +6 to all their charges is a little ridiculous.
Right. They were fast enough. So, and then, but also interestingly, I thought a lot of the Reaver stuff went down. Is that correct?
10 points.
You know, and you want to run a lot of them when you do run them. So
or the turtle.
The turtle went down too. So
turtle
probably
30 points.
Yeah, that's
Sharks went down 20.
What sharks? Yeah. I honestly think now with
play sharks and just play Daddy Shark the song or Baby Shark.
Oh dear God, no!
Stop!
Dear God, no. I think we could see some Thrall list. I think Thralls could be a thing. with the reavers and the thralls, because you want to take a lot of them, and 10 points can add up quick. So, cool. All right, so I
their discount did not go down though
for taking max squad.
Yeah, it did not change. So you don't want to do that. You want to take them in 10.
See, but that can help though, because you want some chaff too.
What about the king?
Same. That didn't change.
Same. He's 240. I think that's fair for him. 240.
Yeah.
Yep. Volturnus stayed the same too. He's 280.
He might be a little undercosted, but that's neither here nor there. So, but the turtle is what 350 now for the turtle. That still seems pretty high for the turtle.
I would agree. But the model's so nice.
130 for 10 reavers, or excuse me, for 10 thralls.
Same. Yeah, reavers are the same price.
See, that's pretty good because you can bring them back to life too, right?
You can, but you can just buy another 10 of them instead of paying for the hero.
Interesting. Cool. Who's next? We did Undead. Seraphon. Destruction.
Stormcast?
Well, we'll do Stormcast last. So
Phoenixes?
Beastclaw came down a lot. Well, comparatively speaking. So what happened with Beastclaw? I know the Icebrow Hunter came down to 120. And the Mournfang are 140 for 2. Which, that's pretty stinking good because they have like 6 wounds, 7 wounds, right?
Yep, they're 6 wounds. They were 160. A large portion of the Beastclaw range has dropped by 20 points a unit.
Not the leaders though, just like the normal guys.
The leaders did not change from the information I have. They're like the Stonehorn and Huskard, so I think they're like at 420 and 440. But all the like minor, like the mid range, the mid range, the mid range HQs, the troops on the troops that ride the Stonehorns and Thunder Tusks.
Beast Riders.
Yeah, Beast Riders. They dropped substantially. So my list alone has dropped by 100 points. Okay. So that's going to allow me to ally in some Grots or...
What about Yetis?
Yetis went down. Yeah.
Can you, Ross, ally in a Fungoid?
Yes.
Yes, I can do a Fungoid HQ.
I like 2 of those.
Well, you don't have... They're 90 points, so...
they're 90 now, yeah.
But...
They went up from 80.
Overall, for Beastclaw, I think this is good news. However, I don't think it's going to help them at all. Because their units cost too much. So the savings doesn't even net them really anything. So, but that being said, I have a strong feeling that this is a prep for the new book for them.
Yeah. There's nothing in the new book for Beastclaws other than like a single mercenary faction.
And ogres didn't see any changes either. So this is strong indicators that
so good.
Just as deadly
well,
as ever.
It's not a lie though. It's not a lie. It's not a lie.
They're just terrible.
They're the same level of deadly.
Right. Just not very deadly.
Which is fluffy bunny level.
I mean,
they should just be politicians.
Well, here's the thing though. I'm a little worried about that because if Beastclaw Raider points changed, but you're still expecting a book, and then the ogre points don't change.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Well, we don't know.
Does that mean that my
my
huge ogre army is completely pointless now, and I should sell it?
Yeah, sell it.
No, don't sell it. Unless you want to sell it to me for like $20. $20.
No,
I have one on my own already.
I have a feeling they're coming.
I hope so because I missed that army.
We were
was
promised a new book this year. Remember last year's announcements.
Yeah, I don't know. So, but it's a strong possibility.
Yeah, because ogres was my main army in 8th edition, and then when AOS dropped, they were completely just garbage and haven't really been playable since then.
You're up to date. I get going, so I'll check y'all out later.
See you, Ross. Have a good one.
Hey, man. Who was that Australian guy that took him?
Yeah.
He was like whooping everybody with him.
Yeah, no. Doom and Darkness.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think Gutbusters are terrible. I just think that they're not the best. Like we were talking earlier, you can make subpar things work, especially if you're good and think through. So yeah.
Well, thanks.
I said especially, Nate. Especially. I haven't seen you play them, so there you go.
Yeah.
It's
practice
true.
for.
'Cause I don't have my round bases yet because they're still in limbo.
So
To
how
be fair,
could
they
you
can't be worse than your Night Haunt. So
Oh.
You.
So okay, these
you lose
there we
Josh
go.
too.
Yeah, it looks like he went too. But that's okay. That's cool. We'll keep rolling here. We're almost done. So the other destruction army is Iron Jaws, and Iron Jaws got awesome. They're great. They saw drastic, in my opinion, drastic decreases in things here. So Ard Boys came down 20 points. So it's 140 for 10 Ard Boys. That's 20 wounds for 140 with a 4-up save. They're ridiculously fast. There's combos that make them actually hit hard. I think Iron Jaws got a huge buff. Their command ability got changed to now they can automatically move 6, I think, in the hero phase. And if they're within range, if they're within 3 in the hero phase of enemies, they can attack with that unit in the hero phase for a command point. That's huge, especially with smashing and bashing. This is good stuff. Especially you 2 command points stocked up. Boom, you could just take out 2 squads. So I guess you wouldn't even need smashing and bashing at that point. So
I don't think smashing and bashing would work because that happens in the combat phase.
Oh, it does, but it wouldn't matter anyway. It wouldn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
what
you
paying,
could just
but
spend.
They still have it. They still have it. So it's in the combat phase. So that went down. Maw Crushers came down a little bit, and then they got their battalions came down a ton. So they're looking at being able to run 2 battalions in some armies now. I think it's going to be great. I think Iron
Which
Jaws,
is a big deal because you can only buy 1 extra command point now. So
Yeah.
to do all the multiple logs, you're going to need those extra battalions.
Yeah.
Well, they'll still be able, right? They'll get the extra battalions. They'll have to buy the 1. You can still 4 command points on turn
Right.
1. You take a Fungoid Cave Shaman, now you got 5. You're still able to do that combo, which is deadly. So yeah, I don't think they're going to bust past mid tier or anything. They're not going to be better than Slanesh or Flesh Eater Cords, but they're going to catch some people. They're going to be good. They're going to be good versus specific kinds of lists because they're so fast. So Iron Jaw's got a lot of love, and it's good. And the one thing we have to talk about is their new spell lore is fantastic. So they got the big hand of Gork or whatever that's called. So now they can teleport units just like Gloomspite can. And they have a phenomenal damage spell. So I think it casts on an 8, so it's a little high. I forget the range, but
Well, it's still less than the Foot of Gork.
yeah. Well, and it's pretty decently long. 18, I think I want to say 18-inch range, something like that, give or take some. But what it does is you roll a dice, or something or other, for any orc unit that has 5 or more models or more than 2 models or something like that near you, and it adds to the roll. And I think it's like on a 3+, the enemy unit. Oh yeah, you roll a dice for every orc squad within range of you that has a certain amount of models. So if you really set it up, you could be rolling 5 or 6 dice on this thing. And on a 3+, it does D3 mortal wounds, and on a 6, it does D6 mortal wounds for each one of those. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's one of the best damage spells I think in the game. So you just have to babysit the weird knob or whatever. But
yeah, that sounds like the goblins have a spell that does something like that, right? Where you point at a unit,
yeah,
and
theirs
then
just does D3 or D6. It doesn't do multiples. Yeah.
Right, but that makes sense because they're smaller.
I guess. Maybe I'm wrong, but if it is the same thing, theirs definitely does not trigger on a 3+. It triggers on like a 5 or something. So, yeah. So, but anywho, good stuff for Iron Jaws. Good. They had decreases on everything. There was no increases at all, which is what they needed. I think they're
have to buy more models.
Do it. Is there anything else before we get to Stormcast that you guys know of? Oh, Daughters of King. Daughters of King got minor changes. Hags went up 30 points. which is excellent. They should have been up more, but whatever. They're 90 points now instead of free. So whatever they were. They're like 60 points. It's ridiculous.
Free.
And then the big thing is the Witch Elves. The Witch Elves went up to 120 for 10. That's a 20-point increase for every 10. That's huge. And then the Snack Ladies went down a little bit. I think like 10 points. So it'll be a good shakeup for them. They'll have to make some new lists. But honestly, overall, I think they're still going to be able to be effective. Maybe just take a few different choices here and there. So, but yeah. What else was there, John?
I was thinking of Slayers, but I don't think they were included, right?
Slayers are in the coming FAQ, yeah.
Yeah.
So include like Gits, yeah.
How about the Frost Hearts?
Oh yeah, Frostheart Phoenixes. They changed those. You probably seen those around too. They were nasty. I think they were like something ridiculous, like 240 points for the Anointed or something like that. 280. I don't remember.
Well, I think they have different points now for the ones without a rider on top because there was
The Anointed on the Frost Phoenix is ridiculously good, and I think what did it go up to? 280, 320, something like that. It got an increase that I thought was good. Not as much as personally I would have liked to have seen for how durable they are.
Yeah,
I think they're too good to be.
Well, I mean, and honestly, they are the basis of I think every remaining competitive mixed order list. Like if you see mixed order on a tournament results sheet, you're probably guessing there's at least two Phoenixes in there. Peni, whatever.
Or like
with Advocators and
dragons.
Skinks.
High Elf dragons were a thing too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And they, from what I understand, I might be misquoting this. I thought that they went up a little bit in points, but I might be wrong. But it didn't seem like anything drastic for them. So
yeah.
Overall, I think that kind of army will probably be fine. But it was good to see the Phoenixes go up. So, and then
Bone Splitters?
They didn't change. They're just as deadly as ever. So
right,
yeah,
just as bad,
right.
according to the website.
And then it's not a lie. It's just true. Just as deadly as before.
Yeah.
So yeah. Does that leave Stormcast? Are we ready?
100% factual.
Yeah.
We'll do Stormcast. Okay.
Dear Lord, let's get to Stormcast.
Yeah, Stormcast. All right, I've been waiting. So Stormcast saw some decent changes. Let's see. So Ballista went up 10 points, which is not enough. But yeah, it should have been at least 20 more. But so you'll still see Ballistas. That's virtually unchanged. Liberators sadly did not change, and I thought that was a big mistake.
Boo.
That's a
I'm
big
sure
mistake.
Ross loves that.
There's no reason for Liberators to be 100 points for 5 of them. But yeah, anyway, I digress. Garviel Shore Charge went up 20, which is great. And then one of the really cool things is all the Lord Arcanums. So even on foot, the one on the Griff Charger, the one on the Tower Lawn, the one on the Dracoline, they all went down 20 points. So that's cool because they were 240 for a one cast wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little much there. So, but yeah, I think pretty good. Especially the one on foot now is clocking in at 160, which is he's good. He's gonna be good for 160. You might start seeing him. So I like that. The Lord Castellan, the guy that gives +1 save, went up 20 points, which I think is fair because he gets the free Griffhound. He's like almost an auto take enlist anyway, even at 120. +1 save is just with no roll is fantastic. So
Yeah.
I was happy to see that go up actually. And then what other changes were there? Sadly and inexplicably and sadly, the Star Drakes did not change at all on points.
Mm-hmm. You know what else that didn't change is Griffhounds. I mean,
so sad about
they
that.
really needed a points
Come on,
increase
guys.
because they are just broken.
Griffhounds are the worst unit in the game.
We didn't get your letter. We didn't get your letter from the mail.
They're the worst unit. Never in the history of wargaming has the worst unit been created than the Griphound. They definitely need to be 100 points for 6 of them. Definitely.
Oh boy, you keep trying. You keep trying. No, paladins. Other than the much maligned evocators, all went down.
Well, they're not technically paladins, so.
Okay, yes, whatever.
But yeah, evocators went from 200 to 220 for 5, which is a good thing.
So then the retributors went back to 200, which I think is where they used to be. And what is it? Protectors are 180 now.
Yes, and
decimators are 180.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I still believe that they are still overcosted.
Yeah.
Retributors should be 180, and the other two should be 160.
Yeah. Well, next General has Handbook, I'm sure. They can only come down 20 points at a time, apparently.
Well, that would make them go up or something.
Oh, yeah.
But this is honestly good change. It's a good change. Decimators at 180, especially if we start seeing hordes come back, are something I'm seriously considering. I think, comparatively speaking to other 180 point units, like what do you got? 3 Mighty Skull Crushers are 180 points. 5 Skull Reapers are 180 points. I think they're falling more in the category with units like that. So I like that. They can tear up a horde pretty good. The spear guys are pretty good for 180. They can put a hurt on a monster.
Yep. D6 was it D6 damage if they roll 6 to wound, I think. So
it's 6 to hit. 6 to hit.
Is it 6 to hit?
The attack does D6 damage instead of 1.
Yeah.
But they still have 3 attacks each. They create cover against shooting.
3-inch range, so you can set them behind a line of sequitors.
Sequitors went up to 130. They went up 10 points.
Oh, so. Man.
So
that'll just cancel out the bonus that I got for the protectors.
Yep.
Oh, well.
So, but no, well, you might be able to run them, though. They did go up, but the protectors did go down. It depends how lists work out. It's not always
I know. I'm just
and
being
then
difficult.
Let's see, what else was there? Advocators on Dracolines stayed at 300, which I think is a travesty. They're not.
What the hell are those?
I don't know. Have you ever seen them?
Dracolines.
They're a good unit.
You mean Dracoths?
No, Dracolines. Advocators on Dracolines.
I don't know if I've ever seen this unit. I don't think it exists.
Anywho, they stayed 300. 280 would have. They are a strong unit. I'll give them that. They do hit like a truck. You can buff them. They're good. But 300 is too much. Just straight up. They're not comparable to certain things that cost that much. So, yeah. I would 280, 260 makes more sense for me. And then the Dracoline guy, or not the Dracoline, the Dracoth, the Dragon Rider guys, they all changed except for the Fulminators. Fulminators, the guys with the spears, stayed 240, which is fair because they're phenomenal. I think, in my opinion, they're the best ones, but I'm weird. And then Concussors went from 260 to 240. That's the hammer ones. So
right.
And Desolators are at 200, and these are all for 2 models. 2 models.
Wait. I thought those were the ones that people took more of.
Desolators are the ones with the axes.
Right.
They are the least common in actuality.
Oh, really?
The hammer ones, you're skewed because Ross runs the Desolators.
Okay.
But the most common variant of these guys is the Concussors with the hammers. And then I think the Fulminators are the best choice.
Yeah, that's the one that I've always heard was the best.
It depends. The Concussors are better when they're stuck in, but you can take a horn guy with the Fulminators and just always charge. And on the charge, they're gods, so they do 3 damage. Right. So
3 damage on the charge. Yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah. So overall, good stuff. I think it was right to not drop the Fulminators. If they wouldn't down any, I think that would have been too good.
Yeah. Well, I think what prosecutors came down too. So your flying spear dudes are much cheaper.
So that's fantastic. And then all the Vanguard chamber stuff came down.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Like significantly. So even Long Strike Raptors came down.
What?
So yeah, Long Strike Raptors came down 10. So they're 170 for 3, which is fantastic.
Huh.
And then the Vanguard Raptors with the Hurricane bow stayed the same.
Because everyone was using those.
I've seen them used. You can use them. They're the ones you deep strike in, and they have like 1,000,000 shots, like 9 shots each or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but they're pretty good for 140. And then Vanguard Paladors came down 20 again, so they're 180 for Palad. Oh my gosh, I just can't. It's so good. Paladors are just so good now.
I got 6 of those ready to paint. Be interesting to try them out.
Vanguard Hunters came down 10 points to their 110. I don't think that was enough. To me, functionally speaking, Vanguard Hunters are literally not as good as Liberators in any way, shape, or form. So I think the only thing they have is they're slightly faster. They can do their outflank. They have more attacks, but it's not as quality because they don't have any great weapons. They don't have shields to reroll saves. I think they should be 100 points, the same as Liberators. And you have to take a Lord Arcanum, or a Lord Aqualore to make them battle line. They're not just default battle line.
Right.
Which the Lord Arcanum did come down, or Lord Aqualore did come down 20 points as well. So that's huge. It's just in a lot of my lists because I'm running prosecutors. I'm running Long Strike Raptors, Hunters, the Lord Aqualore. Like all the stuff that I run came down in points, and I'm picking up in most of my lists 100 to 120 points. So I can fit another unit in, which has just been awesome for the list building that I'm doing. So
yeah, it's going to take some time to reconfigure some lists and figure stuff out because I'm not sure what to add to my Night Haunt list to make it better. But I mean, even just like one more hero could be big potentially.
I guess since we went over the stuff and it's kind of getting long, some people might have heard this stuff before anyway. What would I change? What am I doing? Seeing in the future.
Wait, before we get into that, we forgot in the Seraphon review that they changed the teleport mechanic.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, I thought it automatically goes off now, and they can't move afterwards.
That's right. Yes,
I'm remembering.
You're correct. That was a huge change to your list. They can't move after they teleport, but it always works now.
Right, which is a huge change because people are definitely just trying to get the move afterwards, and I think you'll see a lot of lists change just based on that mechanic alone. So anyway, back to what you were saying.
Well, that is what we were saying because you're saying how is your list changing? That's what we're talking about now. What are you doing to go forward in the future? Because we talked a lot about how the meta might shift here and new things coming up. Yeah. So what am I going to change? What are you going to change? I know I already ran through some lists. Like how would I alter my list now that I have these extra points? So what I ended up doing is one of my lists became, let me see if I can find it. I don't want to get this wrong here. I
can do mine real quick.
Yeah.
So the Thunderquake list, I'll have to drop a unit for sure because all the skink points increases and the Edge of the Gods increases. So I may drop Chameleons, but man, they are so clutch that it's really hard to drop them. They've literally won games easily. And Saurus, I get to add a unit because they were way underpriced. But yeah, definitely the teleport mechanic was nice. So I like that I can't just get screwed and not move at all. But not being able to move, I definitely was using that to gank objectives like crazy. Because it was dumb. It was very dumb. And I'm
right,
glad
because when your opponent has Yeah, like when you leave one character back to guard an objective, and you can just teleport and walk right up to him, say, "Oh, this is my objective now." It's hard to block that. You did it like twice in our game.
You can't block it because I'm teleporting you to 20 skinks over there. Like,
Yeah,
you have to have 20.
but then you
models over
roll
there.
the
Like, it's
6, and you're
stupid.
like, okay, well, I can be 3 inches away from you, so I definitely have this objective.
Right.
Well, all you do is have to have more than the number you have within 6. So, like, you don't even have to get anywhere near the objective or your units usually.
Yeah.
I think 6 is too far away to capture objectives. Personally, I think that's dumb because, like, when I was abusing it, I felt like I was nowhere near the objective to even capture it. Like,
It is hard to block
ludicrous.
off. It is hard to keep people away when it's a 6-inch range. Yeah.
Right.
Well, but I've used that to my advantage before too. When I'm playing against someone who has an army that has less models than I have, like especially with ghouls. So I just line the ghouls up so that they're in a set, 10 ghouls in a semicircle around the objective, but around the backside, so they have to move up, and then I can hold the objective for a turn longer sometimes just because I can back away, and it takes my opponent longer to get there because then they can't charge me.
Sure. But I mean, the issue with the lizards, though, is with 10 models, you couldn't hold an objective from them if they got the move.
Right.
It's impossible. They can be wherever they want. They just pop up and shablamo. They just take it because they rolled a 5 or a 6.
Right. And if it's a mission where they can burn the objective, well, then there you go. You've just permanently lost an objective.
All the time.
So that was a huge change. So that's gonna affect your list building for sure. So and I'm happy about that. I think it's gonna keep things fresh. So
it gets rid of the gimmick, which I like.
That's the word. The gimmick. Yeah.
It's beardy, it's gimmicky, whatever. Like whatever term you want to use. It was dumb. It needed change. I'm glad they did. So, yeah.
Well, good. Okay. For me, the list that I was running right now, the one that I'm in first with our little league, that's right. Come and get me. Was
hashtag list hammer.
It was a Celestin Prime. It was 2 Knight Venators, a Knight of Zeros, 2 squads of 3 Etherwings, 3 Judicator squads for battle line, 5 mans each, 2 3-man prosecutors with javelins, 9 long strike raptors. That was my list. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think that was really effective in the current meta. It was very good at screening, very good at stopping charges with the Etherwings, and able to just. And it was Anvils of the Helden Hammer, so I could double shot the ridiculous long strike raptors and just murder things. So it's been pretty effective right now. But now here's what we're talking after the points changes, and it just got stupid. So I dropped the Prime, which can be a hit in certain lists, but drop the Prime. I pick up the Lord Relictor. The Lord Relictor.
Yep.
Translocation.
Yep.
So now I can, on a 3+, in the hero phase, teleport the 9 long strikes anywhere on the board 9 inches away and still double shot them because it's happening in the hero phase. So I can teleport them and shoot in the hero phase and then shoot again in the shooting phase, which is absurd. Okay? That's absurd. So even if you put up trees or you put up the palisade to block line of sight, nope. You're dead. It's like I can be anywhere on the. You have to block off everything on a 30-inch bubble around your dudes. So
wait. When you use the command ability to make them shoot in your hero phase, does a hero have to be anywhere near them, or you just say?
Yes, you need a hero. But see, the thing is, here's the rest of my list.
Okay.
You have to understand that they are. I won't be able to really put them in your zone. Okay. But when you can move them anywhere on the board and they have a 30-inch range, it's virtually impossible to stop me from getting line of sight in this game. It would have to be something crazy. So, and even if I can't target, like you put a Slon behind like this one little pillar, that's fine. I'm still going to be able to shoot other targets of opportunity that I want. So that's why I would be going with that. That, and then the Knight Incantor is also going to be in the list with the Comet. Which,
oh my god!
So I'm dropping the comment on you now too. I picked up another unit of 3 Etherwings. So I got 3 units of 3 Ether Wings. So, and if for those of you that are unaware of how these things work and why I feel that they're broken, no, GW, they need to be 20 points for 3.
They're
of them.
useless.
No one takes them. They're
Nobody
useless.
uses these.
Here's what you do with them. You keep them. You keep them within 18 inches to screen your long strike raptors, because let's say you're playing Flesh Eater Courts and you have a Terrorgeist comes up the board and wants to turn 1 charge your long strikes. Okay, he'll fly up. You screen with your Ether Wing, so he has to be a good 7, 8, 9 inches away from them. Still threat range, still iffy. We're talking 50. Say 50-50, he gets in and kills the whole squad, which would be devastating. Well, what happens now is if you have Ether Wings, it goes to the charge phase. So before he even gets to charge, each one of those Ether Wings can roll 2d6 and move that many inches as long as they stay within 18 of the long strike raptors. And because this is not a normal move, this is an out of sequence move, not in the movement phase, they can use that movement to get within a half an inch of any enemy models. Okay? Effectively, if you do this, if you move, you have 3 tries to do it too. 3 tries on 2d6 to move to get one of those squads in. That one Ether Wing, before the Flesh Eater Court gets to charge, gets within a half an inch. Therefore, that Flesh Eater Court unit is now in combat and cannot attempt to charge. Because it happens before they go. So you essentially stop them from moving, and now a Terrorgeist has to eat 3 birds for a turn. And then, even if you get double turned, the other squad can just do it again the next turn.
That's kind of beardy.
So, and this also stops deep strikers. Anything that's coming in 9 away, you can just fly over and snag them. You can also move the Ether Wings even if there's nothing near them. So there's just even if there's enemies across the entire board, they just move 2d6. Now they have to stay within 18 of the long strikes, but still, they're very mobile, screened that way. So yeah, you just tie this thing up and you're just shooting it with long strike raptors. It honestly only takes 2 volleys to kill a Terrorgeist. So there you go. Even if multiple units come in.
The moral of the story is bring 2 Terrorgeists.
Well, even 2 Terrorgeists. I got 3 squads of Ether Wings. I can tie up 2 of them. You can scream them. That would be the way. You got to shoot them down to scream them. There's only but if there's just one alive, he's going to do it. So yeah. Anyway, that's why I'm taking the Ether Wings. I think they're absolutely God mode in a list like this. I got the Comet in there. And then you have 3 squads of Judicators that can deep strike anywhere on the board and shoot anything. The mobile long strike raptors can teleport around and shoot anything. You still have 2 star-fated arrows. And the Night Venators are the heroes that you can position on the edges so that you can translocate the long strike raptors into range of them to do the double shot.
I see.
Because they move 12. They're super fast. You can kind of position. They have a 30-inch range too, so you can position them really wherever you want. They're still going to be able to hit the targets that you want. And don't underestimate those Star Eagles. They'll just tear everything up too. So. But anyway, that's what I'm looking at. I honestly think it's an extremely powerful list because it beats the meta up. It's nothing that you would be expecting. And yeah, with the Comet, I think with the Comet in there, it's reaching absurd levels with the Comet.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't really have much to add about my list because
wait.
Yep,
before you go, Nate. There was a live chat question. What about Slanesh?
Oh, there's a live chat question.
Yeah. Bob Jones asked.
Bob Jones.
What about Slanesh? So, were they one of the FAQs that's coming?
Yes,
later?
There are no changes currently, but they said that they're going to be having adjustments. Well, what did they say? They're being addressed, whatever that means.
Yeah.
In the coming FAQs in a couple weeks. So that's where That's where Slanesh is. Yeah, sorry, we missed that. I honestly didn't think anybody was watching to ask questions. So
That's awesome. That's great.
So that's great, fantastic. We love it.
We'll have someone watching that. Yeah, for sure.
That's true. I didn't. Okay, fantastic. That makes me really happy. So thanks for participating. The more participation, the better. But yeah, you didn't miss anything. So there you go. So there we go. There's my Stormcast stuff.
Nate.
Yeah, Nate.
I mean, I don't know what to say as far as how this changes my army because I'm playing a Night Haunt army, so there's really no tactical insight to give there because they're pretty crap most of the time. Anyway,
Why are you calling crap?
But anyway, I mean, because I guess if I was a normal Night Haunt player, I'd be saying, I had to drop my Reapers and do that because all the points. But I don't usually bring Reapers. So I guess, if I were a person who brought Reapers, I would not be bringing as many, I suppose. Although, honestly, I guess the way that kind of balances out is since all of my heroes dropped 20 points, and I have 3 different heroes in my list that dropped 20 points, the Reapers wouldn't have changed at all. So
that's what I was going to say.
Know.
And see, this is why I love this change, because the Reapers are only really hurt when you're taking them with Legions of Nagash.
Yeah.
You're still going to be able, because of the point changes, to do exactly what you were doing before with Night Haunt, which is great.
It's like they're making you not use the popular tournament list. They're like saying no, you can't use that list anymore.
Try something else.
Do something more creative besides just copying what everyone else is doing. Right, exactly.
Well, yeah. I mean, and we'll see. I mean, I don't know how much more effective my Night Haunt list is going to be. I mean, because when you people out there see the battle reports, you'll see that they're not doing so well in our in our games. But
you can't even. Once that game comes out, you'll see that was so
a bit of a fluke.
It's never happened before. It'll never happen again. So it's not a fluke, but it is very, very rare.
Yeah.
Well, and consider this thing. It takes, I would say, and this is, if anybody's listening, I don't know, I'm going to have to consider people listening now. No, but seriously, for newer players, for people that are just trying to get better at the game, do not get frustrated until you have at least 15, 20 games under your belt with an army. Maybe not one specific list, but I still would say one specific list. You got to keep playing it. Like, for instance, when I first opened up my Vanguard chamber here, and I was playing against John, I was super frustrated because I had all this stuff in my head the way that I wanted it to work, but it just wasn't working that way. And I had to learn a lot of other things. Like, one of the things John taught me was, because I was a Khorne player up until that point, okay? Khorne just attacks. I just run across the board and meat grinder you until you're dead. That's what we do. We're good at it. There was no nuance here. There's no tactics. You just run in and kill them. So when I was playing Stormcast, at first I was in the mentality of, I'm going to just shoot their heroes. I'm going to be aggressive with my stuff. I got to get on the objectives. I got to get here. I got to do this. And no, it was causing me to be out of position. And I had to learn that I don't need to kill your entire army on turn 1. I don't need to have the objectives on turn 1. This was crazy because I'm winning almost all my Stormcast games with my range cast here because I fall behind in the beginning of the game on points, and then I come back. And that's not something that I ever considered playing before. Not a play style, because it makes me nervous, right?
And I will say that Bob is still listening. Bob is still chatting, so we will get back to Bob.
All right, okay.
Yeah. We will address this question, but I learned that lesson hard when I was running the old tree book with the current tree book, but it will be the old tree book. And I was running Alariel, and I was being way too aggressive with her. Getting her up because she's a big model. She can move really fast. She hits like a truck. Getting her up in there, killing something, being like, yeah, I'm a mother effer, get up there, kill stuff. And then, she just got gangbanged down by everything. And it's like, okay, I need to figure out, I can't lose her turn 1, turn 2. I got to, she's too good to just
Right. And it's a huge
throw
point.
away like that, right?
Yeah. So like that's the things I'm saying. Like you got to stick with the same thing. So you start to see all these weird combos and the way things actually work in the game versus your perception of how they should work and do on paper, and what you think they'll do is a lot of times different than in practice in reality. And this isn't just a gaming principle. This is a real life principle. Like you cannot expect to know what's going to happen in life and in things just because you thought it through. Like books are nice, but there's not reality. Reality is what you do with it, and the real life experience is invaluable because it's true. So I would say stick with it. I think, heck, even the battle report that I just edited where you were playing Mike, we just put it up today.
Yeah.
I was watching that report and being like, oh my God, like you completely dominated the right flank. Half the board was dead in one turn.
Yep.
And when I was watching it, there were some weird things that happened. And Mike had, I think, pulled you out into some engagements you shouldn't have been. But there was power there. There was something going on. And if it would have been utilized a little bit differently, I think you could have swung it in your favor, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm aware of that. I guess I shouldn't downplay it so much. I mean, and yeah, the more I play with the units and learn how they best are to be used, the better it's going to get. And I think the reduction in points is going to free up. I think when I was looking at my list, I could add a second. I can't add another spellcaster because he's 140 and I'm only saving 120. But I mean, that doesn't mean I can't tweak the list some. But I mean, I could add another five chain or blade geist revenants to one of the units. So then I have one big unit and one smaller unit, and that's only 90 more points. So then I'd have enough points for some extra like endless spells or something. Probably not the Nighthaunt endless spells. They're, like I said, pretty garbage. But
But even adding something like that in could change everything. So
yeah. Or I have the chain. Oh boy, the names are also similar. I mean, you'll see it in the battle reports. Sometimes I can't keep them straight. But it's the guys that extend the bubble of the spirit torment, the chain ghasts. I think that's what they are. Yes, because they're not chain rasps, they're chain ghasts. And they have the shooting attack, and then they act like decimators in close combat. So you have a 2-inch range and you hit whatever, you have as many attacks as there are units. So they're fun to tag onto the end of a horde unit and then just, see what they do.
Right.
But one of the problems that I have with the list is that the blade geists, who are the kind of bouncy, charge in and then retreat and charge again type ghosts, they have a cool rule where they get to reroll all of their failed attacks if they're in range of a spirit torment. And these 70-point dudes extend that range. So if they're in range, then anything within 12 inches of them also gets the bubble. So that will mean that my Blade Geist Revenants will be even more deadly when I get that, that little extra bubble might be enough to sway some of these games.
Yeah, fantastic.
So we'll see what happens. I want to run the Legion of Grief thing too, just to check it out because, any excuse to run Manfred, I'm going to jump at it, see what he can do.
Nice. So what was Bob saying?
I think he had more questions about Slaanesh.
Slaanesh again, jeez.
Everybody loves Slaanesh.
He's got. Let's see. What do you think about any units need points increase on Slaanesh? In my meta, I have gotten complaints about Slaanesh strike last ability and summoning. I try to provide advice to them on what to do. Do you have any advice I should give them?
Okay.
We have some Slaanesh players in our club.
We do. Slaanesh is tough.
Are annoying.
My personal opinion is Slaanesh is absolutely top tier. Absolutely. One of the 3 or 4 best armies in the game. Because any army that has always strikes first, that's what I'm going to call it, and double attacking is epically potent. That is an epically potent combo, no matter what.
Especially with the speed of
yes,
Slanesh. The speed is really good.
Yeah, and I realize that it's make other people attack last, but for all intents and purposes, it's I get to hit you first. So
Yeah.
It's ASF, yeah.
right now, the only way to fight against it is to also have it, and I am I hate that mechanic personally. I think it's gimmicky, as John was talking about earlier. But as far as the points values go for Slanesh, what is a keeper, you guys? Is it like 380, something like that, 360? Point values for Slanesh, they're actual.
That's pretty expensive. That's pretty expensive.
I don't believe the point values are wrong. Okay, I when I look at it, I sit there and I say, what do these units do in comparison to other things? And honestly, almost everything in the book I'm looking at and I'm saying this is pretty good for the points. The only exception would be I could see the keeper going up to the 400 level because the keeper is so dominating. It's easily one of the best models in the entire game, rules-wise, and it looks fantastic too. It straight up crushes one-on-one anything that doesn't have it. If you don't have always strikes first, and even then, 50% of the time, it's still going to kill that unit unless you roll bad. So I think they're exceedingly effective. Where I think the brokenness from Slanesh comes in, and the part that really punches you in the gut, is the summoning. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not the nature of it. I like how you get the points. The problem is the points values that you need to summon. I think it's 30 points for a keeper. When you're getting 30 points a turn is a problem. Getting a 360 to 380 or so, whatever it was, point model, after you just killed two of them back for free, and then automatically having to fight it again it messes up that fun factor. It really does. And by the end of the game, you could easily be playing 3,000 points or more versus a 2,000 point army.
I mean, okay, so I think the one way you can try to mitigate this, I mean, just as a player playing against it, I'm not talking about like from a rules perspective, because I don't know balance wise. I don't think that we can sit here and say, well, I think if you did 20 points less on a keeper, it would change the game. I don't know, but I think you just have to try to outplay them by knowing what they're going to do. Yes. And when they summon these things, they have to summon them from a hero. Mm-hmm. And if they're cocky and they throw all of their heroes right up in your face, which, I mean, Slanesh, they're probably going to be a little cocky.
They're cocky? Is that what you're saying?
Anyway, nothing like that. Okay, I'm going to stop before I say anything that's going to get us in trouble here. But yeah, if they throw the heroes up there too far, you can take out if you take out all the heroes, they can't summon anything. So, I watched a battle report where somebody had 70 depravity points by the end of the turn, but all of their heroes were dead. So it meant nothing because they were all gone.
That is a valid point. Targeting the heroes is an option that exists because they can't summon them. However, I'm going to counterpoint that a little bit by saying it's way too easy to keep one hero alive, especially when you can summon more heroes. So,
yeah. Right, just summon a chain of heroes.
All you need is a 90 to 120 point hero to stand behind a wall somewhere that you can't even see, just to anchor your army so it can never die.
I could see them taking the Palisades Endless spell, just to plop that down, put a hero behind it, and it's like, okay, now I have my summoning bulwark.
She's back there doing God knows what with herself and just summoning stuff. So,
it's a privacy screen.
That'd be hilarious. Model the Palisade is like a little curtain. And it's like, don't notice anything's going on back here. So, yeah, but to be fair, that's my critique of that comment. I don't think it's viable to say kill the heroes is not a viable tactic to fight.
Well,
against.
Sure, yeah,
it's there. It's just not something that is realistically accomplishable for most lists. Maybe my Stormcast shooty list could do it, but then all you have to do is hide behind a rock. So yeah. I think what to tell the other people is, if that's the question, how do you deal with this? Because you're gonna get, if you're, from what I understand, is Bob the one playing Slanesh, and he's getting flack from his
That's what it
club?
sounded like.
Okay.
There are definitely certain armies that will give the Slanesh player a lot more depravity than other armies too.
Yes, this is what I was going to say too.
I think if you're playing in an environment or your friends, or you're going to a tournament where Slanesh is going to be there, you might think about not taking that unit of 12 hunters that are just going to give them depravity points out the wazoo. Go with your one wound horde type units where they're going to spend a lot of time killing them, but they're not going to get a lot of, not going to get 6 keepers by the end of the game because you're not giving them any free points. I think that's one way. And even if you don't kill the heroes, if you can just mitigate where they're summoning to, because it has to be away from you and stuff. So I think you can do some things, but it is tough.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
And I think what a lot of Slanesh is getting is, and this happens no matter what it is, and it changes all the time. When you're the one that you're the have of the have-nots, right? You're the one that has. Okay. Clearly, Slanesh is a have right now. Getting all those free models is awesome. It's very strong mechanic. They have all the best mechanics in the game. Speed, strike first, double attack, summoning. Right? It's all the things that you want, right? So when you do that, you're going to get an unnatural amount of complaint lodged your way. No matter what you're doing. Like, for instance, they have been crying to me all weekend about how broken Stormcast is. And I run Etherwings. Friggin' Etherwings. But no, see.
Stop. You stop right now.
So, but this is what happens. It's the same thing in 40K. If you play Tau, everyone hates you. Okay? It's just how it is, because everybody's played against Tau, where the one game they didn't even move their models and just tabled you in one turn. So we're all hate Tau. Even if it's not true that they're broken, even if it's not true that they're OP, that perception of them doing that is what causes this ire to come up.
I think I can more readily speak to that as a Flesh Eater Quartz player.
Yes.
Yes.
So, everyone has been so upset. And, it's the Gristlegore that give me a bad name. And I'm over here playing Blisterskin, which is much more tactical and I think a little bit better. But people still associate it with that, oh, it's broken and you don't have to think about what you're doing. Well, that's not entirely true.
Sure.
I mean, when you're playing Gristlegore, it is a bit more forgiving, I suppose, because you can kind of just run in there and 70% of the time the game's just going to be over turn 1. So, it's,
right.
But people are going to adjust.
Right.
Like Jared, and start bringing super shooty lists that can stop that before it even starts. So,
right.
And then Blisterskin, I think, might have a better chance because they're a little bit faster. They might be able to get there before the shooting happens.
Yep.
So, I think there's some wisdom to trying to, I don't know, and maybe just some, you can personally feel a little bit better about yourself if you can go with a slightly less than top tier list. Well,
that's one way to help mitigate the complaint, is to not take the broken stuff. However, I don't honestly think that that's good for everybody. I think you should be able to play what you want to play, even if it's powerful. And I do think it's good for other people to play against the good stuff because it makes them better. It gives them practice. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So now they have to agree to it. You don't just club baby seals with it. So, but right, there's a limit. But at the end of the day, it is good for everybody. And the other thing you can do is the way that you respond to it. Okay. It's very good to say, when people are complaining about Slanesh summoning, to be like, oh yeah, I acknowledge that it's completely bonkers. Right.
Right.
Because even if you're the one,
right.
even if you're the Slanesh player, just say it's crazy, and then just keep doing it. right? Like that's fine, but just say it's crazy. And a lot of it is just they're expressing their frustration as a human, right? We all do this. We all play video games. We all play this. We want to have a good time. Not all of us are playing 5 times a week like professional wargamer. We get out once a week, maybe even once a month sometimes, and you just want to throw down a good game. And sometimes you feel cheated of that good game because of the rules, right? As a player, I think it's really important to express that, hey, I'm not mad at you. Like when you get frustrated, because we all do. I'm not mad at that other player. I'm mad at the rules. And that's okay, right? Then you can have a discussion about it. I think that's fair. Because you don't want to just sit there stewing. You want to have a conversation. And then maybe you and your friends can get together. What could I do better? What could I improve? How could I play better? And that kind of can come out of that. So acknowledging the craziness, I think, is the first step. Because there's a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you how many times I've had to apologize for chameleon skinks doing what they do, like appearing into combat, appearing on objectives, appearing wherever the frick I want them to appear. But also remember, Sigmar, more than 40K, it is a very rock, paper, scissors game. There are going to be matchups that you just suck at. Like you're just not equipped to deal with that. Like I know when I play the Seraphon army, I struggle against Stormcast, right? Anything that has a decent save, because my highest save is like -1, or my highest damage is -1 rend, and the Stormcast just don't care. Like I remember playing Ross's Dracoline army of all weird armies, and it just ran through me, and I was like, I can't hurt this army. Like I literally can't hurt them, and they're killing squads left and right. And that's okay in the realm of thinking about the game, because it's okay to have things you're not good against. I think that's healthy for the game.
Yes.
So if your opponent is playing an army that struggles against what Slaanesh is bringing, you might encourage them to try different units, different armies, different combinations that might be a little more suited to play against what you're bringing too. I think that's a real thing. We should be honest about it, and not try to make GW change that. I think that's one of the healthy things about this game.
And I honestly would go as far as that you shouldn't apologize for this stuff. This happens all the time. I've been in so many games where someone's like, I'm sorry, because they feel like the other person's really frustrated and they don't know what to say. I think it's bad. Being in this situation where people are apologizing to me because they crushed me makes me upset, right? I don't want you to apologize. Like, it's just rubbing salt in a wound. Don't say sorry. Now, to say, wow, like, I feel you, I get it. These rules are frustrating the way they are. That's different than apologizing for it. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want people to nerf themselves to play me. I want them to bring their best so that I can also get better. So I don't want them to be like, I'm sorry, I won't bring that because you're a little bitch. So like you're a little bitch that can't handle it. Like that's what it makes me feel like. So I hate that. But going forward, John's right. The communicating with the other person, and this has happened so many times in the wow, John, we've almost been playing for 10 years now. So in the 10 years we've been playing, there have been multiple times when I have gotten so frustrated with the game, the way it's designed, and the unbalance of it, that I basically didn't want to play anymore. Like it just killed it. I didn't want to paint. I didn't want to play. I wanted to hang out with my friends at the club and stuff, but it was just too much. This specifically with 40K, this happened multiple times. Mm-hmm. And I remember just going up to John and telling him I'm frustrated, and he's like, "Man, I get it. You lost 55 games in a row with your 1,000 Suns. I would be frustrated too." Like, and he would listen to my complaints, and then I would say, "I just can't do it." And John would always be like, "Well, why don't we just play a narrative game?" Okay, there's other ways to play this game. You don't always have to play match play. You don't always have to bring the best stuff to better yourself and do this tournament type stuff. Okay, you can set up narrative gaming, and this is, in my opinion, what it's for. Okay, it's to save friendships. It's to make the game fun again. where you know, spend time writing a story, come up with some fun missions. One thing that Ross and Nate were doing that I absolutely loved, and I want to get into it more, is they were doing like pickup games with a continuing narrative. So
yeah, I was going to talk about that because that was just refreshing. I mean, poor Ross. I think he lost every game of that narrative series against my Nighthaunt, and I don't know if that's just dice or just how it was playing out. But I mean, it was very refreshing just to have that. Like, all right, I'm not trying to build something that's going to break the game. I'm building on the narrative of what we're doing here, you know. And it was more fun to try and think of, oh, what mission could we play next? Like, oh, you killed my general. Well, now they're going to be trying to do a ritual to reincorporate him as you know, his ghost form, and you know, it was fun. It was a good back and forth, and we had a massive, like, I think it was like 3,000 or might even been 4,000 point game at the end. It was ridiculous. Like he had evocators flying around the board. I had Arcan running around. And it was great. It was a lot of fun. And I think sometimes those narrative, like ridiculous scenarios can be a lot of fun.
Well, I loved how you guys made it a thing between you two where you would show up and you'd come up with a story for the battle that night. And then you would spend time and energy building that narrative for the next mission and then the next mission. And what that does is, see, because what happens to me when I get really frustrated, I spend all this time and energy like building lists. Like, how can I make this army work? How can I make this concept work? And I spend all this time, and it's like I'm obsessing with trying to not get my ass kicked. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. I was gonna come on that too. Like, I know I struggle with this too. Like, I'm playing once a week, once every other week, something like that, and I don't want to lose. I don't want to I don't want to go to the club, play my one game, and get my butt kicked in, and then have to wait another week or two to play again. Like that. That's what I want to do. But that's something I need to work on internally. Like I need to be okay with losing. I need to be more chill with just playing the game, and learning my army better, learning your army better, learning how to be a better player of the game in general, and not be like so wound up about I need to win because I haven't played in a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like tournament, it's one thing, but just like pound around at the club or something like that, like be more of a student of the game type of thing. Sort of don't get so wrapped up in winning or losing necessarily, because I think it's a trap for people.
Well, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Instead of spending the energy to make your army more effective, spend the energy writing a one-page narrative or a backstory for your models or painting or something that's not the frustrating stuff, right? You know, maybe front painting is frustrating for you. I don't know. But, you know, flesh out that narrative. Set up a thing, a 3-week mini campaign, which is with one guy. This is the stuff that is the most rewarding stuff from the game. Years from now, you're not going to remember losing all these competitive games in a row, but you're always going to remember that little campaign you put together. Always. Like, it's fantastic. I still remember the one that me and Nate played, where it was when I introduced my Stormcast, and it was like he was trying to come recruit new Nighthaunt from the graveyard, and I ambushed him in the graveyard, and it was flipping awesome.
You pin-cushioned Arcan.
He was like, I'm going to make some zombies. 800 arrows in the face. Like,
then I had that one
Fire
Lord that just wouldn't die.
Yes. This is, and we came up with some cool custom scenarios. And like, that's the kind of stuff that's more fun. And if people are getting frustrated, go that way with the game. Yeah.
Or if you can do it, one thing our club has done is organize. In the past, we've organized campaigns.
Yes.
Where people will join, and there's it's sort of a story-driven campaign, but it gets people first of all playing together. There's a lot of camaraderie with that, which is really healthy for the hobby. But also, again, Chrissy's memories. Like I remember Nate's guy became the Shade King or some shit. Like
yeah.
and we still use an outhouse from like freaking like
The
8 years
outhouse.
ago, like as an objective. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's still a thing. Like we remember these like stories and we still enjoy it, and we lose track of like, oh
Yeah,
my god,
I mean,
I lost that.
I that outhouse. Oh my god.
That was from Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
before the old,
and
that
that
was in
was
the old
back.
world.
That was the
That was
Slogler
back
League.
when I still had a podcast, and I even did like a little audio drama of the Skaven finally opening the outhouse to find out what's inside. It was so dumb.
Well, and that's the same campaign where John Warbringer's war boss got the Shadowbane super sword and was just standing on the castle surrounded by like zombies or something at the very finale, and we just closed the curtain. Like that was phenomenal. Like I remember that. I don't remember round Heat 2 of the 2006 Nova Open. Like
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Or the narrative 40K series where my Alpha Legion turned on my team. That was
yes, the Arrows incident.
Right,
I'll never
yes.
forget those. Those are
Yes.
great. So
Yeah, your stupid scorpion on the bridge, just hopping from one unit to the next, and we couldn't kill him because Isaac's stupid Terminators were out there forever, and we're like, "What are you doing?"
see, and this is the stuff where, and we're gonna do this again. We have a campaign event coming up this summer. I'm hoping, if I'm not busy with work or cancer, goddamn cancer.
Yeah.
So like ruining our fun. So, but this is the kind of stuff that makes the game worth it. So if people at your club are frustrated, if that's what you're hearing constantly about complaining about rules, switch up the gears. It's the most effective way to do it. So I don't even know if Bob's still here. So
or try meeting engagements.
Meeting engagement.
Yeah, try that.
So
sounds like fun.
Anywho, I think we have exhausted just about every topic there is for now.
We've gone far afield.
So, but this is good, and I really appreciate the feedback. So, thank you, Bob. You are a friend. We enjoy it. So, and I think that'll be it for this one. This is a really long one, but lots of good stuff. So, thank you guys. Thanks, John. Thanks, Nate. Thanks, Ross. Thanks, Josh Booze, for joining in, even though they had to go. And we'll catch you next time at LWG.
All right.
Yep.